to begin, where we have ENCE versus HEET coming up in our second semi-final pair. Pretty interesting pair up if you think about it. ENCE, the last time they've been into a grand finals has been in Elisa's spring 2020. That's a bit over 1.5 years ago.
Well, just looking at the Elisa Invitationals, I think they were in another online cups grand final last week. So yeah, again, looking good. And yeah, yesterday's matchup was a weird one against Entropiq. The takeaways from that, it's kind of hard to talk about that too much because ENCE just did pretty much everything right while Entropiq wasn't really on the server. So hard to draw big conclusions from that one.
Yeah, and a hard-fought game from HEET against Hobble in their quarterfinal. Went all 3 maps. They had a... Well, so I want to bring up someone from the lineup. Exercise, definitely a player that lit the server quite a few times. And yeah, like we said, typically speaking, there's not a one single player on this lineup that really shines over the other. But maybe Exercise can be that player that might be able to do it and help his team to victories.
We'll talk about HEET later as we'll put our attention towards ENCE. The Finnish esports organization has been on a pretty good form lately, especially if we look at yesterday's results against Entropiq. That was a, could almost say, blowout in some cases as well. Didn't really give them much of a chance. ENCE looked really good on the server. Entropiq didn't, and not offering them much of a challenge. But Diha and Spinks, we'll be jumping into Spinks on the player card later. But Diha, 1.76 rating, and Spinks with 137. Hades, 147. Pretty good numbers.
Yeah, you're going to see numbers like that in a blowout, best of 3 like that. And yeah, interesting to see ENCE renewing the contracts of the big trio onto 2023. Really showing that they trust the core. And at this moment, why wouldn't they? I mean, they've been delivering this year. Snappy leading the team with explosive strats on the T side. It's really, really fun to watch, I feel like, personally. And I think a lot of fans agree on that. ENCE's playstyle. It's just a lot of fun to watch.
Bright future ahead of them, right, Natu?
Yeah, we'd hope so.
Yeah. Love asking those crystal ball questions.
Yeah.
Going to.
No, I mean, a lot of skill on the server when ENCE is there. With Modern coming in just actually not last month, in January, since we're already in March. Time flies, right? But early days for this exact 5-man roster, how they make things work. There's going to be growing pains for sure. Modern is such a different type of a player than Dodo was on the lineup, so that'll take time. But in terms of just raw impact, Diha, of course, like his clutch abilities, ability to just multi-frag. Spinks over the year has just grown into just a great killing machine on the server. So yeah, there's some good components.
Yeah, it was fun watching Modern play yesterday. He was a very, very, you could say, bright kid. He was very happy after their win yesterday. And overall, I feel like they have a lot, they can still get a lot better from what they are, but they're looking really good as a team as a whole. But I think I really want to highlight Spinks here, his importance to the team, how impactful he has been, how impactful he can be, and especially if given the right maps, he's a scary lurker.
Yeah, I mean, he was basically the last piece of the puzzle 1 year ago when the core of this lineup was put together. Coming in from Contact, had experience, or Snappy knew him from Contact. I think over this year, he's got his first taste at big tournaments on LAN, and it feels to me like he just keeps on developing as a player continuously, which is a great sign. I mean, he is a very, very young player still. There's of course room for improvement, but the signs are great.
Yeah, and really, really energetic and positive outside of the server, keeping the team spirits up. A funny guy too. Well, a few times I've gotten to talk to him, and yeah, just to add on to his impact on the server, the CT holds are immense. He's been mega on the server lately, just playing those turret positions. The crossfires are set up for him, and he delivers time after time. So yeah, definitely a key piece.
So he's not just a scholar, but also a gentleman. By the looks of it, at least, what I understand.
Yeah, he's a bit of a joker.
It's always good to have those in the team, obviously. Keep a good momentum in the team, get some morale as well from some good humor, etc. Though, a tough opponent up against them, though, if we look at ENCE's performance as a whole, HEET is definitely going to be bringing in the heat today. But I wonder if they can match up to ENCE.
Yeah, he'd check. I definitely think they can make this, in the worst case scenario at least, very, very competitive. Recently just qualified for the next RMR. That's a great thing. I think they have an interesting core pieces here, such as Lucky and Body, who have that experience from G2, for example, and then have been around the higher echelons of Counter-Strike for a while. Maybe it's been a little bit more quiet over the last couple of years, but they've played with players with a lot of pedigree. And then you have the likes of Afro, for example, and Exercise, I think the one that really shown yesterday, that can light the lamp, so to speak, and make things work for this lineup.
Yeah, lots like on this squad. As we talked about a lot, no individual really shines through. Okay, yesterday it was Exercise, but on a bigger sample, it feels like the players are pretty even. And maybe the only question for this roster is, like, what's next? They're ranked 21 right now, but I don't see them going much further than that. I mean, for some organization, that's fine. And, when we look at the way that they were playing, of course, this Inferno was a bit of a... Yeah, it wasn't very competitive, but like on Dust 2, for example, in that series, we saw that he got a little bit flustered in certain situations, especially when it got in late rounds. We'd see them not near a bomb site and 20 seconds on the clock, and they opt to save because, they maybe overthought the situation a little bit. Maybe a little bit of probing and pronging from the CTs disturbed with the way that they wanted to push a site. So look out for that. Maybe, if ENCE can find the right timings, that might misdirect the way that he wants to play on his side.
You're going to have to rely on some star power here because ENCE definitely has plenty of that. But if you look at HEET, who would you maybe put on the pedestal of the team? Because when on day one, we kind of discussed about they're an, you could say, versatile team with a bit of everything. But is there any player you would highlight here?
Yeah, as I said, that's really, really tough to say. If you're just judging by yesterday's performance, it was clearly Exercise, but I don't feel like he's clear ahead of these other other four players rather. Maybe Afro on the op has had some pretty good showings lately, so I'm looking at him.
I was kind of thinking about Body, but
sure.
Any thoughts on Body, perhaps?
Yeah, I mean, I don't of course know him as a person as much. He wasn't known for being an in-game leader at the time when he played in the likes of G2. He was more on the brute force department of the team at the time, but of course it's now been a few years. I think from an in-game leader perspective, just like what he can deliver on the server, I think is more on the higher impact side of things. He can definitely contribute on the individual level, which is important too. Today's meta. Oh yeah,
and pretty nice storyline too. Like Body, as we talked about, played for these big teams G2 and played with some big players like Kenny S, but now kind of raising the level of these lesser known players from the French scene and them making it all the way to top 20 in the world rankings. That's already impressive. And yeah, it's interesting to see if they can go further.
Yeah, it's definitely nothing to take for granted as well, because we as Finns were always like, where's the next Finnish superstar coming out of? And you're looking at like a whole French team. They're like, all right, well, we've got players going straight into top 30, top 20. What you say impressive, I say maybe a bit more than just impressive. I don't want to sugarcoat anything, obviously, but still, it's a big feat to have like this continuum of fresh players coming into the top.
Yeah.
Or towards the top, at least.
Well, we can always call Denmark and ask them for tips.
True, yeah. Denmark located right between all of us.
And they keep delivering players with a higher tier. Yeah.
It's nice when you have like these, we kind of talked about academy-ish type teams like Copenhagen Flames, like, like star players going into bigger organizations and stuff. Maybe HEET is a potential cover up for the French scene into the international scene as a big organization. Who knows? Crystal ball question again. But
yeah. I mean, but they are the number one French team right now. Yeah, so it's weird right now.
I was going to say, like, we don't really have a lot of French representations in terms of full teams ever since like G2 dropped the full French team and went for the international endeavors, right? So you had MBK went international with OG. And things like that, and then kind of full circle. Actually, MBK was as a standing part of the double pony lineup that now became HEET.
Yeah, Obviously, there's Vitality too. I forgot about them, but
Well, yeah,
not a full,
Vitality,
not a full French team anymore.
That's a very good point, actually. Yeah. But aside from that, we used to have Envy, used to have G2, used to have so many good teams from France. So
Yeah.
feels like there wasn't.
There's a history for sure, but there's also history that needs to be written onwards, and it might start with this one. Let's go to the map Veto slowly. What are we suspecting maybe to show up?
This is an interesting one. Vertigo. Vertigo is in my mind. Like, do ENCE ban it out? Because it's a very strong map for HEET. There's a big question on my mind, but HEET not making any mistakes here. They don't like Mirage, and we've seen ENCE being pretty comfortable on the map, so a good ban there.
Inferno ban though by ENCE, and we're going to see a Vertigo. As our start.
I think this is the first time we see Vertigo with this 5-man roster, if I'm not mistaken.
That's a good point. With Mod and ENCE has only played 4 maps so far: Nuke, Mirage, Overpass, and Ancient. So first showing on Vertigo with Modern.
Yeah. Overpass pick. Yeah, I mean, this is just judging from the numbers. It's a map that's about 33% over the last 3 months for HEET, so probably just goes about the numbers for ENCE here for the pick.
Also, Nuke is going to be banned by HEET. I was kind of suspecting that might not go through. ENCE has been really good on Nuke lately. And then there's the Dust 2 ban as well by ENCE. So swapping the best away and leaving Ancient into the pool.
Quite the map pool.
Yeah. Well, this sets things up for Vertigo, really. That's HEET's. I see that a win condition for this series is that they have to get a W from their own map pick because things are not looking too good on Overpass. So, yeah, definitely looking at HEET here. They gotta win this one. Not a lot of stats for ENCE here.
Not a lot. But now it's time to start writing some.
Yeah, I mean, you got to start somewhere, right? So
Exactly.
I think this makes perfect sense from HEET to go for this and, kind of battle test ENCE's Vertigo in this situation.
Take the bull by the balls, so to say.
Well, you say that, not me. So.
Those horns, but either way works.
Yeah.
Yep. Now we're generally looking at this this map pool already being pretty interesting. Though, any advantages giving on either CT sides better than others T sides. At least one thing I wanted to kind of bring up was the HEET's conversion from pistol rounds. They only have an 8.3% break chance, so that doesn't leave them with a lot of one force rounds.
Yeah. And what did we see from ENCE yesterday? I think three breaks, 3 force buy wins.
Yeah.
That's not going to work out every series, but it's really showcasing what ENCE can do with those deagle buys. When D-High is deagling, Hades with the scout, things can get dangerous really quickly.
What do you think, Natu? Any chance for surprises?
Surprise in force buys? Or what? What kind of surprise are we looking for here?
Any surprises?
I don't know.
Are you a believer in magic?
Not
Are you thinking about getting a crystal ball?
Nope. I don't think they work.
Not needed.
I don't think they work.
You have one for sale, Panda?
I'll try and get one tomorrow.
Okay.
For tomorrow. Let's see what kind of a crystal ball we'll end up with in the studio, though. But in terms of some raw statistics, instead of just guessing and sitting and waiting, I guess we might have some of those in the key points, perhaps.
Sure. Let's go. The first point is ENCE's map pool is still a little bit unknown, as we said, and this kind of sets up Vertigo perfectly because it's very much a question mark for the ENCE side. With Modern playing it for the first time, we know HEET is a very strong team on this map, but the individual prowess of ENCE could just break things for them. And then Exercise yesterday, he played great. My one question here is, can he keep it up? And if he can't, who's gonna step up for HEET? And then, obviously, the ENCE aggression. We know it. We love it. It's awesome to watch. Maybe not as much on the HEET side, and they gotta stop ENCE's aggression.
Well, with that being said, our ranks 15 to 21 take a head-to-head in the situation to take a spot, potentially, into the grand finals. Gents, 2-0 or 2-1 for either team?
I'm going for ENCE. ENCE in this one, just based on what we've seen lately. I think the team composition is really worked out well here. Always hard to say a 2-0, 2-1. Maybe I'll give HEET the Vertigo and 2-1 for ENCE.
Natu, 2-1 or 2-0?
My crystal ball says
He doesn't have one, so
No.
we're just going to skip this segment completely. Let's throw it over to the casters, the Eternal J and Dweg, ready to take over this one. ENCE versus HEET. Best of 3 winner goes to the grand finals.
Thanks, gentlemen. Yes, it will be an interesting time for ENCE. As they mentioned before, the map pool's so limited, so if you're going to predict this team, you're going to have to do it on their skill and individual basis alone, Dwayne. So with that being said, do you see them taking this series here?
I do, but it has to be in 3. You can't go off the basis of the unknown, right? We have not seen in the last 3 months a single Vertigo. We haven't seen it with Martin and the team. So it's all up in the air thinking they actually might come on Vertigo and really surprise, but I don't know. So for that reason, I'm thinking we're going to 3, but ENCE the stronger team. They're more composed in this sort of environment. They're the favorites here.
Yeah, I think the most fair prediction is to sort of go down that route of HEET will be able to get this Vertigo map, a map we haven't seen played this year so far for ENCE. They mentioned, of course, on the desk, there's no statistics available for them. Also, with Martin being his first outing with this side on this particular map up, we yet to see how he's going to bed in. I mean, if there's going to be an unknown factor, that would be sort of like the main sort of way in which ENCE will be able to prove us all wrong here. And if they can put it off at 2-0, then credit where it's due. That's the key thing about knowing the unknowns. You can't bank on them, but you also can't count them out.
Especially when you look at their 2-0 performance yesterday. I mean, for them to bang Entropiq as hard as they did, that does not happen very often. So already confidence is going to be at an all-time high for ENCE. They know this is an event that we can come in and 2-0, look to get into those grand finals, and then sit there and compose again. So with all of that in mind, they've got a very good chance of being able to roll HEET over. Because even for the Frenchmen, you think about that Harvu result that we saw from them previously in the quarterfinals, it wasn't that telling. They were 11-1 up on map 1, they were 11-1 up on map 2, and then they got a 16-14 when the series as a whole was actually quite close other than the second map.
I mean, you take a look back at how things worked for ENCE versus Entropiq, and they had very similar scorelines there on that series, and they ultimately ended up dominating here. Obviously, you mentioned that, ENCE looked good off the back of that series. The desk seems to disagree. They're mentioning that, listen, Entropiq weren't really on server. I think it's a bit of both, honestly. I can see that, how that series can sort of go towards both angles in that respect. So I'm looking at ENCE, and I'm thinking to myself that if they're going to prove anything in this tournament, in this bracket, it would not be with that Entropiq series that we saw yesterday, but right here against the HEET side, especially if they can take map 1 in the series. But all signs seem to point in the idea that HEET will take first map and everything else will fall apart there for the ENCE side, and that's when they'll be able to take maps 2 and 3 in this matchup overall. In terms of what we hope to see, obviously the big unknown factor is Martin on Vertigo here. So what are we hoping to see out of him in this matchup?
I don't even think steering the conversation that way is important. What is important is what do we actually see from ENCE as a whole? Do we see them being competent on Vertigo, or do we see it as maybe the next few events where Vertigo just keeps getting banned? Is it going to be one of the weaker maps in the pool? So just seeing overall a good structure of play, fitting Martin into the gaps, making sure the utility usage is on point, that everyone knows what role they're bringing. Because, of course, when you don't have any officials to look at it's only what's happened in the scrims and in the practice.
Yeah, and obviously this is a map that you need to come into prepared for to a certain extent. It's not very exactly like a standard map where you could just play defaults and just just rock the default sort of strats. So we'll see how far ENCE are going to be prepared for this particular map. But you can imagine that, again, something we were mentioning yesterday is that they're not playing on a lot of officials, but they have a lot of time spare to themselves in terms of that, because they can practice, so they can prepare for a map like a Vertigo. They can prepare for some of these unknown elements, and maybe that's the key factor. Again, it's an unknown entity, but maybe they have bedded Martin into a really solid position, and maybe they have found their team formation that could allow a victory here on Vertigo.
And I think that always gives you a leg up if you're one of those higher caliber squads that are in part of a league, or you're sort of invited into one of those circuits. Because if you're not, how do you play it out? You have to grind everything. We saw it from the Entropiq guys. We see it from the guys of SKADE. We see it from HEET as well. A lot of these teams just play in absolutely every event possible.
Yeah, and as a result, they have a lot of playing time experience. They have a lot of match sharpness to that certain extent. So we have that sort of side of things to account for. Obviously, it's that intangible element of a lot of practice on paper for ENCE versus a lot of actual practice in server, a lot of official match experience for the likes of HEET in practice and in in tangible sort of form. So in a sense, they have that little edge to predict, and again, you can sort of look at that as being the more solid element towards it. I think the big thing that ENCE have above HEET is the fact that they are the tier 1 experienced team. They are playing at Katowice, at the major and stuff. HEET have not been to those events yet.
Yeah, and that's also a good pace setter, though. You got to imagine for HEET, they've just got signed under an organization. They've already had some deeper runs. They've won some events. They've been able to qualify to the RMR. This is almost a stepping stone. You've got to really go deep in these sort of events if you want to make a name for yourself at the next level. And I think we've seen that from some of the high-end Tier 2 teams, is that if you're not winning these online cups, you're not going to do anything against the Tier 1 teams. This is where the practice really comes through.
That's the key thing for HEET, though. They are winning these online cups. They just beat out the Multivibe Series 5 knockout series. They just went first in the first RMR Open qualifier. Obviously, they went to the ESL Challenger event and didn't quite do that well in that one, but they're playing in some of those levels, those higher level competitions by comparison to what the online circuit generally tends to have for them. And there's also a possibility that with them being part of the EPT now, they could also go to some of those ESL Challenger lands, for example. So there's a lot of opportunity, a lot of growing room here for HEET.
And it comes down to some of the individuals, right? Take a look at Exercise. 27 kills in the first map of the last best of 3, 27 again in map 2, and then 29 in map 3. Talk about consistency. To have a minimum of 27 frags in every single map of the best of 3 that we saw yesterday, surely we're going to expect something similar today.
We'll have to find out whether we do end up doing so as we're ready to get into our pistol round of our first map. It's Vertigo between ENCE and HEET. ENCE on the CT start of things. Likely that HEET will take this one. Let's see what ENCE can do as we get started with our first map of the second semi-final.
And we know for HEET, very good T side here on the map of Vertigo. Better than their CT side, 60.8% round win percentage. A lot of pace changing, a lot of good ramp controls. And that's exactly what we're seeing into the pistol. A lot of aggression.
Julie's out for Snappy, taking point here towards side alley, hearing footsteps, nays down from his teammates, enables 2 kills, only gets away with 1 though. Exercise with a responsive very quickly. Martin, center of the site, will get forced back to the back lines as Smoke suppresses vision. The T should be able to gain the bomb site from here, at least get that bomb down.
Now, ENCE is trying to spam through the smoke, hope to catch a lucky headshot. You've still got Afro as that late lurk, trying to cut the rotates and gather that information. Now it's about time stalling for the rest of the players on A directly for HEET.
And taps forward, Exercise is low. Lucky is now dead to the hands of Dia. Exercise has those Julies in his hand as well, so he's got the high firepower potential and does dish out some damage towards Dia, but Joko's fallen. Exercise now with a lot of it to do and only gets so far with their Afro in the 1 versus 3. Defuse being stuck by Hades. The Glock blind shot's not connected towards the man, so they just stick the defuse at this one, and the best he can do is just dish out some damage, not get the kills, not get the round. It's ENCE with a pistol.
Oh, look at the retake there from ENCE, and straight away what comes to my mind is simplicity. Smoke down onto the bomb, flash over the top. No one's really over-peaking. Instead, they're waiting for the fights to come to them. Dia gets a very good engagement there towards default, and you can just see for Lucky, he's being exposed in the open. No one's peeking with him. Exercise is low, so he can't continue to aggress on that side alley yellow position and sort of allows those individual jewels to gather over for the end side. He, with the bomb plan and a few kills, are going to buy it up in a second.
2 Galils, an AK, 2 Deagles as well. A lot of firepower to work with, and they're going to put that firepower to good use. Double dink onto Martin, kicking things off with Jocko. Body catches Snappy off guard, switching to the weapon after throwing down the smoke, and that's a 5 versus 3 for HEET.
Yeah, they may look that very easy. And even Exercise is continuing to gather information, get a 1-for-1 trade in from mid. I don't know how much left is in this round for Dia and Spinks. This is a 2v4.
M4 swings, Jocko will get caught for it. Another rifle dropped on the part of the T-side line. That bomb, and to make his way towards side here, it's coming in from bridge, a little bit late to the party on that respect. Might allow a bit of chance for Spinks to get the trays together. Blind spraying on towards body, does more damage to the CT side than it does towards HEET here. The man's backed off, the bomb should go down.
Now, they do have an incendiary to try and force a fight. Dia can put that near that default position, try and stop the bomb from going down.
A little damage taken by Dia, spray through again through the smokes, getting tags off, but nothing major against the HEET side. Only Lucky down to 51, that's the lowest they've got on the T side line versus Spinks on 20. The contrary for ENCE. I think they're backing off here, yeah. Spinks out of dodge, Dia's going to join him. Save call for HEET, it's a ton of 1-to-1.
And that was a very good call, because that was not a very winnable 2v3. What they were hoping for is an overpeak, whether it was Afro with the MP9 going to get aggressive on default and sort of overexpose himself, and then if you can get that pick in a 2v2, you've got what it takes to recover that round. But without a frag being presented, you just back off. You force by going into the next, and it just showed out towards the ramp take how off guard they were. Jocko finding that first kill around that sandbags position, and then even in the scaffolding towards the side alley, just getting ripped apart.
HEET with an instant responsive towards ENCE, and just a really solid round start in general for them. And the cool bet odds have ENCE as map 1 winners, surprisingly enough, despite this being that Vertigo map that we haven't seen from them on record, and the HEET side obviously picking into it as well. Again, it comes back to that factor we mentioned before. The thing about ENCE is that their experience is in a much higher regard than HEET. They're playing those tier 1 tournaments, whereas HEET are not. So you can count on them to at least do some damage right here. Map win might be questionable, though. Forced by in towards round 3. Deagle's out with a 2 saved M4s. Martin down to 41 HP to start.
Yeah, HE placement on point, and that was something that we saw in the last series from HEET. Do you remember when we saw Inferno of Harvu, just the triple nade stacks on the T side up towards the top of Banana? So consistent against the Finns. Another aspect of their gameplay to watch out for going into this best of 3.
Damage return to exercise here on the HEET side. It's Hades that will lean forward for ENCE, try and establish some control. Forward towards the mid position alongside Snappy. Smoke on his pouch, can utilize that to suppress information. And the T's will start their walkout from the bridge into the ramp default.
This looks too slow for HEET. They're giving way too much information away, and look at that timing too. Snappy's got the backstab completely. Exercise is still pre-aiming it. He's down low. Snappy actually gives up on the fight and just falls back instead.
Had the inkling that there might be a backstab, and indeed there was. Not quite a shot for either side, though. Again, no casualties taken in the last 40 seconds of the round. HEET making their way up. Spinks is ready with the Molotovs and smokes being thrown down. Further utility coming in for the execution, but they haven't accounted for this one player. Jocko's going to check it and does it just towards the man. Dia with a fast responsive. A 4 versus 4, holding down a slight gap in that site. Control out to the man advantage not being gained. Exercise has walked out towards mid, though. He's got to continue with the backstab, though. They can't afford to rotate back to the B site as Lucky gets killed off. Dia can strike on towards the bomb carrier, and now Exercise can strike with the Deagle, missing all his shots. He does get a double up, needs to get the triple, and he can't quite do it as his teammates fall around, and ENCE will get their seconds.
I feel for Exercise there, because he does everything right. The timing, it's low, yeah, but he's got the backstab. No one's watching for him. What he needs is his teammates at ramp to get the bomb down, to start taking fights on the bomb site and to win them out, and that's just not happening at all. You can't expect in a 2v4 position that your lurk player in mid is going to be the difference maker to make that a recovery. It doesn't happen, and we go back and forth for the force buys.
All right, guns pulled out again for HEET, scouts and AKs. Halil in for Jocko, and Body with the P250 being the weakest weapon of the setup. Headshot for Afro was right there, almost offered up on a play. Just couldn't quite snatch it away from ENCE.
Now, ENCE having some further aggression from Snappy, just getting down into the tarp, spamming through the smoke. It's Afro to finally catch off Martin. He didn't get it immediately, but follows up at least. And that now means that Snappy's going to have to put a smoke down, think about retaking some more of this ramp control, and even bringing Hades in for some assistance.
Slight gap in the tarps being abused by Afro. Can't quite hit the shots again with the scout player. Jocko instead will catch Hades. And Snappy does force the trade. And a second kill as well for the man. Jocko responds to the 3v2 scenario now for HEET.
Now, they could just get some pace up now in towards the bomb site, knowing they've got the man advantage. Spinks got caught off on the off angle last time. He's repositioned out to yellow and looking into alley.
Again thrown down here. Execution set for the HEET side. Checking outside alley. Spinks caught completely blinded by Body's flash. And Dia sprayed through the smoke to 8 points of HP. Forced to save here. He has no choice in the matter.
Well, this could continue on for a while, couldn't it? Because this M4 is even going to get hunted. Easy pick coming through for Exercise. How long are we going to wait until one of these teams win a couple of rounds in a row? Because now we get into the double eco status again, and ENCE have got a force buy up. I saw there at ramp, even with Snappy's double kills, just not enough advantages, some overswings there from ENCE that were kind of unrequired to give them a level head in that round.
Yeah, a bit awkward from them. I mean, they've tried the aggressive ramp play multiple times here. HEET have always managed to punish it. Default setting the pistols pulled out by ENCE. The Deagles across 4 players. A 5-7 also for Dia in this round. Spotted Martin just ahead of the smoke stuff off that slight gap. Body can't quite catch a kill for him though. Just blind spraying again, expecting there to be a lot of presence up here. Not to be the case for ENCE though. Much more passive with the weakened weapons.
I guess they know that the over-aggression at ramp last round didn't work out, so okay, can we take more members mid? Can we apply pressure that way in the early portion? Because especially when you've got this kind of a buy, you're searching for an opening man advantage. You boost Spinks up, get him into an aggressive angle, Exercise thinking about the pre-aim, but so far it's mainly the players trying to regroup towards the lower side.
Ready for the boost up. And over into the ramp position. Body. Molotovs and flashes coming over as Spinks does get tagged to 32 points of HP. So nice start out initially for HEET. No kills found though, 45 seconds to go.
Yeah, it seems like a ramp fake into a late B take, and even Martin with the drop down. That's information that would have been heard.
3 standing to defend here. Snappy's engagement might force a rotation back from Hades, and indeed he is considering it. But the execution continues onto the B site, so the rotations come right back for the man, joined by a 4th player out towards the mid control. 5-7 for Dia, spots 1 and a second, dishing out some damage. Spinks comes up with 1 decent kill alongside Dia's responsive, a 2-for-2 trade, and Spinks will get over 1 back towards quad. Exercise doubles up on Spinks and Martin, and now Snappy left alone in the 1 versus 3. Good effort from ENCE, but the upgrade pistols again not able to do much against these rifles. The bomb goes down. Let's see if Snappy can take any more damage here. An exit frag would be nice, and that's exactly what he gets here.
Try and see if he can go for this. 1v1, very winnable, but the Deagle just comes down to the immediate headshot, which does not land. Body going to be able to win it up. The battle of the in-game leaders there in the last clutch. HEET find their 3rd, and for ENCE, that almost came back to a recovery. Some slight hesitation with the entire game plan there for HEET. It seemed like they wanted to double pump the B play, show some presence on A, and then send it through, and what they ended up finding out was they ran into a gamble stack, so slightly awkward with the take, but the round's still theirs.
ENCE forced down to the full eco as a result of it. Unfortunately, not a lot of cash in the bank accounts, not a lot of lost bonus flowing their way. Obviously, no bonus money influx you can get for the CD side line. So HEET with the full guns out. Yes, taking damage in that previous round, but if they can get a confident round out here, they put that money line right back where it started. An MP5 on exercise as well could get a lot of cash out with the $600 kills.
Any bonus is fantastic here for HEET because it's going to start farming them up once we start getting into the later gun rounds. Gamble stack on A. You've only got a Deagle, not much to work with.
Nades on exercise. Spotted Dia. Hasn't seen Spinks yet. Could walk into the man, take the thing back for his trouble, and actually does lose his life. So that's at least a decent start for ENCE. Something gained out of this round, but now against the full AKs, it shouldn't be much more from here. Afro gets away with 2, and the advantage slips out to favor of HEET. They've got the B site, the bomb goes down. There's nothing left for ENCE now in this round.
Definitely one of the stronger maps in the pool to come through from HEET. 12 maps played in the last 3 months, 9 wins and 3 losses, even when we include some of the statistics back as double pony. And I mean, using the SMG to farm up any more money, you're probably not going to use it next round.
Try and force forward for Martin. He does engage against Afro. Makes it a triple in the end. Lucky also swings the Snappy. I mean, Hades also won't lose much here, so it does make sense to try and full send it, get something out of this, or try and hold an exit frag position. Just get anything you can out of this situation. The MP5. Frag not found, though. Afro had it covered. Quadra in the round for him for the board of HEET, as you mentioned before. Confident take because it's a confident map. And now confident rifles out for ENCE here for round 6.
Now, I'm going to be keen on the rifle rounds to see how ENCE play ramp. Do they just give up on it completely or actually fight for it? Because I would imagine for HEET's sake, that with just the confidence that we've seen from them on Vertigo in the past, they'll want to fight ramp head on almost every single round on that T side and really make it difficult for ENCE to gather any control. And lack of incendiaries too. That's something to keep an eye out for ENCE with no kits.
Molotov extinguished early here. Look at the charge down the ramp control for ENCE. They tried this in previous. They didn't quite get away with it. A lot more presence this time. And there's no T's to meet them. Fast executing to the B site instead. Dia is close. And Joculus walked right past him. Kill can be found. Got to turn to the back lines. And Lucky will find a trade back for a 1-for-1. Hades still set back at the gap and will be overwhelmed by Lucky. Next up to face is Snappy. And he'll fall all the same. A 3v2 for HEET.
Now, they've still got a lurk of exercise. This is very good trading coming through from HEET. They actually slow it down, try and force out a mistake. Now get the bomb down.
Garden Spings up to the retake. No kits on either, and I don't think there's any dropped on the site either. Can't see any from this angle. The taps continue for the AK. Spinks leaning out to the left-hand side again, trying to look towards that quad position. Lucky starts pushing forward himself. Exercise will try to join his teammates. I think they might have heard both footsteps. Martin leans in. Engagement against Lucky goes well. 2v2. Now Exercise is going to come up good, but Martin doubles up. Trying to look to make it a triple against Afro as well. Smoked out with a 10-second defuse, and Spinks just gets the shot down instead. Jumping up top of the double boxes and getting the round together for ENCE.
Yeah, close one on the retake there for ENCE. Really didn't have a lot favoring them when you think about the situation. He just mid-round called it and realized not only are they aggressing ramp, they've taken it completely. Let's just send it. Let's just execute straight into the B bomb side. And while they were able to deal with the anchor pretty effectively, only that 1-for-1 coming through from Diha, Hades getting overwhelmed, it was just not enough time stalling in that post plant, and ENCE find their third.
Heat right back in control of it, of course, with the buyout that should be coming through in this next round. Hell of a retake there from the likes of Spinks. I mean, a hell of a shot in general. Chance now for the ENCE side to start chiming back in. If they can get more retakes like that, then they can probably make this work. And again, it comes down to the confidence factor. How many players can they maintain alive in this? Ideally, they don't have to rest on clutches of retakes at all. Just hold the defensive dart line. Disallow Heat any momentum, any picks back, any advantages here in this matchup.
Yeah, exercise with the walk forward in from mid already indicates that it's going to be a lean out towards that B side. The first contact's going to be everything, and ENCE are taking deep ramp control again.
Raids an incendiary's body force back. Still gets the shot off on Snappy though. Finds an angle. Exploits it in hold to get that player to fall. Flashes forward from exercise again, working in towards mid. Don't think Spinks caught any of that, and certainly D has caught none of that from the AK. The AWP, on the contrary, though, makes it a 5v3.
Spinks isn't going to have a lot of help from these rotations. They're taking quite a while, and he's just going to continue with the execution.
Molotov's on center of the site. Spinks will get into the midst of the smoke again, back towards quad. They've cleared this position already, so if they don't check it again, and he could be a flank player. AK in hand as well. The M4 got to play distraction on that site. He gets overwhelmed. Now it's all on Spinks. One versus many. Gets the kill. Doesn't get anything else. Trade for Joker's quick. Martin now set to save. He'll make way towards mid control. He does get exercise for it, but now up against 3 more players. A retake's unlikely.
I just noticed the way they slow it down and start second-guessing ENCE, because you start having that slight moment where 3v5, have they actually faked a speed? Are they going back towards a ramp take? Okay, well, we'll just send some bodies over. Martin's playing A. Hades is almost that sort of rotator in from mid. He's keeping eyes on mid, but also needs to help Spinks out at the bomb side. I could just see how Heat are really scrambling ENCE on some of these rotations. 5-3 and getting a hold of the economy game. This is looking deadly by the Frenchman.
And 5th back to their board, reinstating the 2-round lead that they got earlier. ENCE, one rifle saved in for Martin will be the basis of a buyback potentially. I mean, half buy potential is probably the most likely thing. And probably just upgrade pistols around the M4, get the guns back for round 10.
Yeah, it's a smarter call there. Just upgrade slightly, have some upgrades. Great shot coming through from Afro. Of course, just relaying information over. Knowing that you've got a back quad player getting mollied, you can just position that AWP to get that wall bang forward. And again, when I look at the biggest amount of strengths for Heat, trading has to be the one that comes to mind straight away.
Only strength for ENCE in this round will be the M4 for Martin, peeking in, spotting one. Again, aggressive. Nades up to his position, will tag him up early. 1-2 players with Kevlar and overwhelming from body already gets that frag together. So it's not going well for the ENCE side. Not like you expected to here for round 9.
At least they're playing the M4 in the right idea. Get it aggressive. Look for an opening man advantage rather than just playing it back passive. Could even be a trade here considering body is so low for Hades.
Montos ahead of the alley position. Hades can get the kill back. Jocko swinging headshot seen. The AK wins out the fight. Snappy left on the center of the site here with 37 HP. No Kevlar as well. Really needs to get that rifle back to Spinks. Going to continue aggressing and actually win a fight against Afro. Okay. 3v3 situation here.
Yeah, slow it right down. Thinking about over-aggressing again. This is ballsy.
Not going to get caught. Exercise will be, but the kill goes the way of the T side. Now Deagle's in, Badia and Spinks to try and defend against the remaining 3 players of Heat. Deagle out towards alley. Does get caught. Spinks down behind the smokes. Forced away for what should be a site take and a 6th round for Heat.
Yeah, bomb plant coming through. Spinks just taking some further damage from the spam just over the top of that smoke. And might as well hang around and see if anything else will get granted from it. Another pick. If a rifle can get thrown further towards his way, then there's something to save onto. Heat, as soon as they got that util down in that 3v3, you knew it was going to be enough. And for Snappy's sake, even though he doesn't have any armor, he's just thinking, if I fall back with this M4 and we get cross-smoked, what are we really going to do? at least if I aggress and try and catch them off guard, probably the most chance of getting damage.
Only 2 casualties of damage taken by HEET in this round, though, so not a massive amount being done by ENCE. But again, pistols and that one saved rifle. Not a major investment in this round, so the focus will turn towards the guns here. The lay of the land does look to be pretty good for HEET. 6-3 up to the T-side board. It's been a bit of a great start so far.
Yeah, I've been impressed with the way that they're manipulating a lot of the CTs. They're showing ramp presence. They're also capitalizing on exercises lurk in mid. They're putting presence down at the B side. It's just making it difficult for ENCE to kind of get a read on how these defaults are even starting out. And take a look at Hades going into round 10. Glass cannon with the AWP.
Yeah, sacrifices to be made here by the ENCE side. Will still press forward in the mid control and just about barely evade the nade damage. Spinks takes the majority of that. The Orpa holds angle and does catch exercise. That's a start.
They're dry. No util or anything. We've seen previously a flash come through from the mid pigs. Spinks as well makes it a 5-on-3. Things getting desperate for HEET.
Advantage maintained for ENCE, extended upon Spinks. Only real tradable element here for the ENCE side. They can maintain this. They won't have to rely on the retake. Of course, no kits in for the CT forces. Lucky trying to force out a frag back towards that B site, but will just get driven away by the spray. So again, ENCE hold their own for now.
Yeah, Afro's waiting for a jiggle, but no one's really peeking on the bomb site. Body does create a good angle onto Martin. They need to get this pick onto Hades too. Oh, it's going to happen surely. This is a 3v3 now.
They're not expecting Afro to peek ahead of the sandbags. Thought their ramp was mostly clear. He wasn't. Spinks swinging out, and Body gets another good kill. You talk about jiggle plays from HEET. It came into the wrong place at the wrong time. The tag's coming against Lucky though. He's low HP. He's trying to force it out. His Body's fallen as well. It's Afro in a 1 versus 2. Caught off by Dia. Tagged to 9 points of HP, but the AWP shot lands. So a 1v1 ensues, and Stappy is going to win that fight.
Yeah, very well done for Sappy, just to be able to get that 1v1 forward. ENCE have been put into a couple of clutch situations. He doesn't come through in the 1v3 with the Deagle, but comes up here in an important round. A Body made that very interesting, didn't he? When you think about that walk forward, go, oh, 3v5, not much is happening. And then all of a sudden, Afro gets a kill, Body gets 2. And you start thinking to yourself, ENCE let this throw away.
They did bring it back in the end, though. Like, some of the shooting here from HEET, and just in general, the way that they played around hitting this A side. Like, Body especially, man. What a play he's had, what a round he's had in general. And you sort of take a look at the HEET side, and you start to ask, is Body the man you want to look out for here?
Well, typically, highest rated player in the last 3 months on Vertigo for this team. Averages a 1.26 rating. Afro just behind at 1.23. So when we think about, okay, who's going to be the dynamic duo? Who's going to be the 2 guys we look out for? Normally, Body and Afro, they're the 2.
Encouraging signs, obviously. I mean, it's Exercise, the man that leads the charge at the moment in terms of the kill counts. Matched up by Snappy on the ENCE side at 10 kills apiece between them. Not the Galil for this particular round, of course. Tactical pause was just taken there by the ENCE side. Try and look for their next move forward. It's an all-important win for them for now.
And for HEET, it seemed like it was the curse of the playoff round 1. Both of the last 2 events that they played in here in Elisa got knocked out in the first stage of the tournament. Now they're playing in their first semi.
Flashes in initially, Martin does find that opening pick on Exercise once again. Taps forward to the headshot through the smoke. Body's burning in the Molotov as well. For once, it's ENCE that win out the early fight in the ramp position. Body's completely alone here. He's hearing footsteps behind him. His teammates are not going to try and counteract it as Martin falls away.
Yeah, when we look about any opening man advantages that ENCE have gained, it's normally been at the B side or mid, not over towards ramp. A further HE going close towards the sandbags. This util usage on point. There's another one. Not as much damage this time, and Stappy's getting aggro.
Afro, similar scenario, trying to wrap the corner here. Sees his man of Martin. Snappy there with a decent trade back. Body spray comes up good for the responsive, but Spinks is also there to get a man advantage back for ENCE. 3 versus 2. Nays to backside. Jocko with a 1-tap. Catches Spinks now to even standing again. But Hades Orb looking for a crack angle. Bit of a wider one against Jocko. He starts to make his move up, but the shot misses and the AK lands. Dia's SMG does burn one alive, but Jocko holds his nerve and holds the round for HEET.
They're looking sharp, HEET. And when I think back to just how individually crisp ENCE were yesterday against Entropiq, it's good to see that HEET are really bringing the fight in that sort of facet, right? That they're actually winning a lot of these trading duels. Snappy getting aggressively. They gave themselves a 4 versus 3 advantage and pretty much maintained it for the majority of the round. But some of these shots coming through from Jocko, so vital. And even Lucky is taking a fight standing in the molly. So sacrificial.
Sacrifice worthy for Ent in this, sacrifice worthy for Heat in this case, though. Again, gets them past that 7th round and forces ENCE onto a harsh eco. So the damage being done to the T-side line isn't going to mean a major amount, assuming they get this confident round together. Also can recover the economy state with a Mac 10 versus Kevlarless CTs.
Now, we could be looking at 10+ rounds in the first half, realistically, here for Heat, just with the momentum, the way it's building up for them, and knowing, of course, they're up against an eco into round 12. I can't imagine a massive amount. Dia and Snappy do have deagles, so keeping an eye on those two players and see where they position out to. Are there any damage going to be coming through and maybe a rifle to get saved?
Up to the USPs, Hades falls down to 20, body bursting forward, and Snappy gets away with a kill. Headshot through the sandbags at the top. Somehow, kill getting found here by the ENCE side. Damage has been taken by the CT HP bars. Lucky's going to try and look to recover this. He's spotted out by Snappy. Hades going to try and take a peek in as well. Mac 10 round the corner, flashbang forward, kill gets found. Jocko deals with Hades. One more player held back at the top still is Martin with a trade on Afro to a 3v3, but struggling against Exercise. Runs out of ammo now towards 2v3 for Heat.
Ooh, they're going to expect this. If no one's watching it, it could be very on point. Lucky's there with the Mac 10, so no much really more should happen with that. He gets traded, but the information's already there. They compete together, make sure they both fight as a unit. Dia just hoping for anything on this point.
Any more damage would be quite nice. Bomb will go down. Flanking on Jocko. Not quite spotting the man. Check out the elevator position. They've read it well. Jocko's now going to adjust towards the site itself. Dia checking side alley. His Exercise has also evaded him. Like they just traded positions here and there. And Dia just can't seem to see the T-side line. Not going to tap that bomb. Going to try force the fight on Jocko. He's on the boost. Aiming at his Achilles heel. We're not even going to get any damage if he got the shot off anyway. So 8-4. Heat have the half.
If any of the people at home, the players of the game, that boost right there doesn't even look like you can get up on the tiny little pixel. But yeah, there is one of those off angles. And in that situation, 2v1 with the bomb down, just play the off angles and don't peek, because you know the fight's going to come to you. He's probably not going to have a kit, so he's not going to stick it. So he's looking to see if he can find a peek. Very well played in that 2v1 for Heat. They are still having a lot of these rounds being won with not a lot of players alive, though.
Oh, Jocko with a hell of a shot. I think it was the run boost that came out there.
Definitely.
Yeah, I don't see that too often these days. It's countered so easily, but in this case, it worked for Jocko. He starts off the round.
It's risky, but if you're able to get towards that sandbags position, oftentimes they'll be pre-aimed towards that left-hand side rather than the sandbags, and that's what caught him off.
Snappy able to get at least one kill to respond, so it's not quite as easy as it might seem. Winning at the fight on Afro as well. Quick adjustments from that M4. The flashbang not even required to assist. Martin will hold back at the sandbags. Expect there to be more ramp aggression from the Heat side, but they're pushed back so passive here.
Yeah, Snappy's creating a lot of impact kills towards this ramp position. Now sitting himself in towards 51. Got a teammate on the bait and switch contact of Martin that can just peek forward and then they can play off one another. And peeking out though, oh, maybe that was too early. Martin's not there to peek.
3v3 situation instead. Exercise, nades up. Damage done to Martin, the 44 HP. Have a Molotov as well for Lucky if he wants to throw that out, but then they're going to go try facing, and Jocko gets picked up for it. Re-smoke back down to buy a bit of cover, and Hades can't see anything on the side alley position. Instead, Martin finds another angle to work with. Lucky gets picked up, and it's Exercise alone. 1v3. Bullets flying his way. Can find the trade on Martin at least, and 30 seconds left to play with. Does he think about rotation? No, he's going back into the A side, but Spinks has pushed up the side alley. Hades been seen, knife pulled out, spray comes easy. It's a 5th for ENCE.
They've got to imagine some more confidence starting to build from the man from Montenegro just with an important couple of kills. The sandbags not really being cleared. You saw that Jocko had a molly, but it actually was going to go down to that orange position rather than out to the sandbags. This was the start that we saw in the rounds, but even with that in play, struggling to then deal with the other B anchor meant they had to take the ramp control and run into the trap of Martin and Snappy.
Getting away with the round here for the ENCE side, meaning that it's just got the deals, the Tech 9. AK on a force buy. Fast rush in towards ramp, it seems. Flash is going over. One player is out in the open. Martin keeping his head tucked away. They haven't checked it. They think they're safe, but Martin only gets away with one frag. Lucky and Body with two. Hades to respond for a 2-for-2. In a 3v3 situation that Exercise can break the deadlock with, make it a double kill in mid. And Hades left outside alley has 2 low HP players to find, but a 1v3 clutch to take.
I'd even look at where Exercise is repositioned out to. So deep in CT. No way you can pre-aim. What a wild round that is. They just send it right up towards that top ramp position. So many flashes. No one can see anything. But it's Exercise's lurk. He just ends up walking out of mid, finds a couple of kills, and from that point onwards, open B bomb side. What a play from Exercise, and he ends up with a triple.
It's funny how he had to say, oh, Body and Afro are the guys to watch out for. Body's the lowest fragger right now for Heat, and Afro's kind of average. Exercise on 16 frags right now in this matchup. He is unbelievable right now for the Heat side, and I guess this new youngster, this new element, this brand new player that we haven't seen much of prior to his time on Double Pony has come up real good for this Heat side. Nades out as Afro will kick things off. Martin to fall first, Snappy down next, Spinks to follow it up. And the 5 versus 2 ensues for Heat, not taking much against ENCE at all. Just these upgrade pistols on a force buy, and it hasn't worked out for the CT side.
Hades can't even get aggressive, can't even look to reface out to that ramp contact. He would have been heard just in the corner of those flames. And Exercise again with this mid lurk is going to either realize that mid is completely open, and so is the B side.
Hades with that one pick, backstab from Exercise. Again, playing mid to perfection. Hades gets away with a double up. But surely not much more than that. Yeah, last bullet accuracy from Exercise. Only needs to hit one part of the body with 1 HP. It would have killed off Hades. That's exactly what it did. 10-5 for Heat at the first half, going stunningly well here for the French T side. And I mean, look, it is CT half. Maybe there's more in the second half here.
Yeah, Exercise is putting on a show, and when we think about some of the experience in the team, Lucky, we knew what he could do on 3D Max from G2, Heretics as well, Body, of course, G2, Afro and Jocko, we saw them on LDLC, and the DICE, where for Exercise, Red Instinct, Warthox, My Insanity, not as known in the higher caliber scene of the French complete competitive nature, but he's just running around, really having a lot of impact to get them up to double digits. And for Heat, I would imagine all the momentum is here for them to get kickstarted again in the second half.
Yeah, wonderful play so far here for the French side. ENCE. You start looking at that side and you start to ask yourself who's got to be the man to step up here for the ENCE camp, or is it just a case we go back to the whole team play thing?
I think Dia is going to have to be a big factor of it. He had a very good performance against Entropiq, so you'll probably look at the riflers. Dia and Spinks have got to step up.
Right now, Dia is set as the second bottom of the board here for his team. Still on 10 frags. Execution set his Exercise, unlucky to try and hold down the B site. Kill on Dia has already dropped him out of the server. Spinks with one responsive at the very least on the outside of the site. Afro can hold a quad, get a kill, lucky to follow suit. Hades getting peeked upon, gets the trade back, but he's quick to follow suit with a 1-for-1 actually. A 1v1. Hades and Jocko now set to the clutch.
Yeah, when does Hades get the bomb down? Does he even search for the fight? He's getting quite aggressive. He's got a smoke to play with. Underhand that, get the bomb plant. Ooh, fake it out actually.
And a force Jocko to take a fight here at SCAF. Seen towards CT now. Hades knows he can go for the plant safe. Will cross riskily towards the default plant position. Now Jocko taking his swings up, making little noise for it. The Glock's seen him now, knows where Jocko is. No Kevlar all for the CT player. Aim punch might hurt him if Hades can land the first shot accuracy. Sees the player peeking to the right-hand side. Taps continuous. One bullet in the magazine. As that's all he has left over off the back of the kill against Jocko. Heat to hold down a pistol and hold down the sixth.
Oh, what a recovery that is. When you think about the initial site take for the T's, everything's falling apart. They're struggling to trade Afro at the back of the site. Lucky's coming through. This is a 2-on-4 recovery in from ENCE. And even for Hades, what a massive round to win in the 1v1 situation, coming up trumps and giving them a way in to work on the second half. Now we think about, though, the force buy. What happened last time? We had wars.
Back and forth for about 5 or 6 rounds or so in the first half. Could do the exact same right here. Scout set for Afro. Spotting Hades at least. I don't know if he saw the player above the smoke. No, he didn't. Martin, Mac 10, finds that frag, kicks things off for ENCE again.
And now you have to put yourself in a situation where you start considering gamble stacking. Down by 1, you've got Deagles to play with. They do have utility to defend this A side at least.
Mac 10 for Snappy on site above the boxes. Behind the smokes, Molotov's going down. That bomb plant will be secured at default. The CT try and rush their way forward a bit, and Body gets away with Martin, but him and Jocko falling so quickly. Dia holding out with a Glock, gets a triple. Easy pickings for ENCE, it felt like. He gave it their best effort, but not to end up being here for the upgrade pistols. At least Lucky gets away with a fella shot on Hades. But shouldn't be much more from here. Definitely no retake.
I couldn't imagine so. And look for some exit frags. Hold on to what you have, bring it into the next round. And for ENCE, just going with a simple ramp take. Taking the ramp control, gathering that first pick, allowing HEET to kind of get trapped behind the smokes. You could see the way they put that smoke just in front of default and then start trying to press through it. And Dia ends up with a triple, and you kind of mentioned second lowest in the board, Jay. This could be the turning point now on T side where he starts getting more involved in the game.
Have to watch out from here where it goes in that respect. Of course, 2 rounds in a row for ENCE off the back of that force buy for HEET. Shouldn't be seeing much from them. Upgrade pistol for Lucky saved. Flashbang brought down by Body. That's it. Nothing much. Nothing more. Also a smoke for Jocko. But yeah, this should be pretty easy for ENCE, right?
Well, it depends if they run into the stack, because have a look at the radar. There's a lot of CTs here towards the top of ramp.
A flash in to allow the peaks forward. They got Marlon. They couldn't get caught off guard. One player ahead over at the top position. Snappy's at a CT crossed him, and Afro has found the Mac 10. Okay, damage done to Spinks as well. You talk about running into the stack. The stack actually runs into them and gets to start with so much damage being done as well. Jocko's going to press forward alongside Exercise finally. They get up the Ghost on one decent frag. Martin forced to try and get a trade, but takes a dink back for his worries. A 4v3 making it 2. Afro gets away with 2 to return. Trying to look for the triple against Martin. So much damage been done to him the same. But finally, as that Mac 10 will fall out of favor permanently, it leaves Lucky on 5 HP in the 1v2 clutch.
Yeah, no idea what's going on right now. We just had 20 seconds of just fighting from both teams, spam bullets everywhere, and Lucky, he's got the read to rotate over. 5 HP though, that's the issue.
Well, even then, he's thinking about it might be a fake call here for ENCE. It might have just been a ruse to indicate that they're going towards the B site when they could still be playing towards A. As the bomb goes down now, he'll start to realize. And I mean, he might as well send himself at this here. He's got Head Kevlar. He's got a buy in the next round as well. The concern is that one good shot. It's all the ENCE side need to secure it. And Lucky's given away his position now. The footsteps being heard. The headshot angle being checked. Dia wins the fight.
Yeah, come down to a situation for HEET where there's no real reason to save there. You're going to buy next round. They can get that AWP forward onto Afro. Everyone else is going to be very healthy with the Thuns. And from ENCE's perspective, they now think going into the next rifle rounds, okay, we really need to knuckle down because otherwise there's a potential where our money in the reserve is low. We don't kind of get resetted immediately. But if rounds follow and HEET start finding conversions, they're going to have a difficult time.
10-8 is the current scoreline. HEET taking control. For the defensive line, looking for the opening frag, but no. Spinks finds the opener, and ENCE instead hold control over the man advantage.
Now, Lucky with the AWP out from mid might think about having to play passive, but at the same time needing to back his teammate out from B. And just seeing how split the CTs are almost indicates a very over-the-powered sight take coming through into B. Exercise with a flash over the top. He's not seeing enough. He's not gathering the info.
The M4 will just wait back here. Look for a new way in. Dia. Trying to dodge. Trying to find that angle to what weave into the AK. Goes dropping to the M4. Picked up by Exercise. Start out for the CT side of 4 versus 4.
Ooh, they don't know the AWP is here now. This could work out very nicely. If Exercise just keeps jiggling from wide and brings some of that attention over, Lucky might be able to find a very good sightline with the AWP.
Molotov burning away at Lucky, but Exercise gets away with the kill. Sprays continues. Lucky's AWP can frag on the bomb carrier. Dropped ahead of the stairs. Body with the latest. There's Hades in a 1 versus 4. Dealt with by Exercise, who makes it a triple. Continues to extend his frag counts now to 21 kills on his board. And the first round of the half picked up by HEET.
It just feels as if every official we watch Heat play, we get more out of exercise. More multi-frags, more impressive moments. And in that one there, what a round sealer that is. Yeah, he's getting some counter utility and he's got lucky there on the crack angle with the AWP, but that's all him. That's a triple kill to get them up to 11. And now looking at the economy for ENCE, it's low on reserve. There's not full utility. There's even a glue out for Snappy.
And the thing about his arc individually, right? Like, where did he come from prior to Double Pony? Like, no real notable teams for this player. And now he could be argued as one of the best for the Heat side. Definitely one for the future at the very least. But one for right now against ENCE for Heat. Afro spraying food, doing damage to Marden, knows that he's out there somewhere ahead of the target. Incendiary's forced out, try to force Snappy away, he'll burn quite significantly and will go down, trying to overextend too far alongside Body's kill towards Marden. It's a 5v3.
And that's so clever for Afro because he knows he's low and that information's given up. To put the molly down and just keep spamming, just hope that the pre-fire is going to work out. And now what are the T's gaining from this? They've got the ramp control, they haven't managed to pick, and even Hades is getting tagged up to 44.
Yeah, the only comparable numbers on the Heat side is Afro down at 8 HP. Hades on to Body, now tagging to 37, so a bit more in line with where Hades is at, but that's still a 5-on-3. It's still 2-player advantage for Heat. Smokes down, should siphon off the cross, should keep the CTs from getting directive kills. They'll try the blind fire, of course. The bomb should go down from here once the Molotov clears.
Yeah, time is the factor. 30 seconds left. Heat have still got some further utility. They can put a smoke down to put some pressure on. And for ENCE, they try and get the bomb down. How are they even going to protect it?
They are reading the angle of Body, but can't connect the headshot. Hades chimes in with one. Spinks has got to do some similar work here of his own. It's a triple for Hades instead. A quadra spray not quite found. And now Spinks back in the back line has a 1v2 to hold. Naded out to know exactly where he is. He revealed his position earlier on this defensive line. Exercise with a smoke that can go down or put it up towards this sandbags angle. Try and go for the tap once. Force him away, get the kill together. 2K for Exercise. What an effort for Hades, but it just wasn't to be.
It never felt as if that round had enough oomph, did it? I mean, even with that triple from Hades, it doesn't equalize. It doesn't give them an advantage because nothing's really gained in that whole situation. They took mass numbers of casualties down there on that ramp face. They could just see where, with that utility, how much chunk damage was coming through with the spam, with the HGs, with the incendiaries too. Eventually, Hades comes through from a triple, doesn't win out the round, 12-8. I think ENCE are starting to run out of room to work with here on Vertigo.
Definitely out of room to work with here on this basis on the force buy. Tech9's on 3, Deagle on 1, AK for Spinks. Bomb plant bonus was there. Lucky. A hold off against him, caught by Spinks. All important timing, you're right about that. No nade put up, no damage being done. Jocko's going to quickly try to make his way towards mid. He's caught by Snappy next. And maybe ENCE have a few more tricks up their sleeve here. Exercise caught off by Dia. Jumping around the corner at Banger. And that's a safe call now for Heat.
Well, what do you say about that? You've got a mid player of Lucky. He's just about to put the HE placement. And oh, Spinks just peeked. Okay, I'm going to rotate in from A to mid. Oh, just get domed by a pistol. All right. Exercise, you can at least get some pickbacks. No, he just get domed as well. A very explosive round with pace there from ENCE. And when you think about damage, Dia's the only one that actually took any of it.
Afro dealt with next. Body in the 1v5. Should fall pretty effectively to the T side, at least it should be. No, Hades turns it around. And that's such an important round to win here for Heat, because look at the economy, oh sorry, for ENCE I should say, because look at the economy for Heat without AWP dropping out of favor as well. It's so lopsided. Afro on $5,100, but the lowest player on about 2,000 or so. I don't think it's gonna, if it is a buy, it's gonna have to be a force up.
Yeah, I don't think they'll buy here. They can half invest and give themselves some weaponry to work with, but it's too risky to force buy here. Just knowing the funds aren't equalized around with every player in the team. Upgrade some pistols. We haven't seen some crazy ecos. I mean, yeah, I guess you could say that last round was a force buy with not a lot to work with and bringing plenty of players to mid.
Spinks cleaning up players in that mid control. Does make it a double before he drops, so the numbers game do overwhelm him. But the A side's completely opened up from here. They just grab that AK. Probably save it into the next round here for Heat.
Yeah, you might as well throw Exercise and Lucky at it, but you're right about the AK. No way do you want to get that close to the bomb site.
With the plant down secured. See if Lucky can get some cheeky angles against the T-side line, but they're not going to push forward. They're just going to wait. Hold their nerve. Deagle. Pressing on the corner. Nope. 80s. The frag, Snappy follows suit. Unlucky, and Jocko's just now to save. He's already back in T-spawn anyway, so there's no real chance that the ENCE side will hunt him down. 10 to the board of the T-side. The Frenchman mostly building up their cash amounts. With the AK and bonus, it's going to be some extra firepower to play with.
Well, we've had these sort of score lines to be quite consistent, especially when we look back at the previous semi-final at 12-10. Snappy, ooh, does he even catch off the AK? Drop down? Matter of timing? Nah, not going to happen. So that AK gets saved in. For an eco round, you would actually say that's pretty competent for HEET. Okay, they don't find a massive amount of impact with players being dropped, but holding onto a T-side rifle and making sure that one player doesn't have to fully invest, that's all right.
It's not terrible. Guns in from both sides. AWP's out. M4's the Galil for D will be the main limiting factor here. Set with all sorts of guns in from both teams. Again, that AK a bonus for Jocko, and aggression coming in from the other rifles as well. Hades going to get forced back. One player over at the corner. Martin's going to fall back as well. Behind the smoke at the bridge angle, Afro and Bully taking the early damage.
Notice typically how if you want to take ramp control or at least fight for it, you get that deep ramp smoke straight away from spawn. That was a drier approach, and it caught ENCE off guard that they did not expect that ramp was going to get taken. They can now boost body up on top of the forklift, have another smoke. It's all just time stalling now.
Sprays through from Martin. Trying to catch something ahead of that smoke again, hoping that there's a player of HEET back there. The boost up from body could be the interesting insurance policy from here.
Oop.
Missed nade, unfortunate, but it wouldn't have connected to much here anyway. The angle is going to be out towards that corner where the T's could have held from, but they're not going to do so here. Backed up, looking towards a B play, it seems.
No, Lucky's been doing a lot of AWPing over Afro on their CT side, being one of those hybrid players that can AWP from time to time. And being the mid player, body, well, this first contact means everything.
Smoke fades and the kill still gets found by Martin. Snappy to follow suit on Afro for a 2-for-1 trade. A quick rush back up towards the A site. They have got Lucky ready to rotate to the site itself. They've got Jocko on a backstab as well. Spinks actually could call to the rotate. Oh, Jocko, the whole round rests in his hands. Kill on the first player. Spray through to Hades, a double up. A triple in fact for Snappy. Low HP for the man. And Spinks now caught out on a late look. Does get away with a double tour 1v1 again. But 10 seconds. All Jocko's got to do is stay alive, and he's won the round itself. Spinks knows it. He's done. It's 13 for HEET.
That's so unfortunate, because that was probably the right call there. You over-rotate the CTs, you sell them on the fake towards the A side, because they got the man advantage walking through that bridge smoke just as it was starting to clear. And that setup, you would not have imagined to not work out. Very good trades from Martin and from Snappy. And then Jocko's probably just thinking, oh, well, rather than rotating away through spawn, I'm just going to rotate down from the bottom of ramp and get over there quickly from the stairs angle. And instead, he just runs straight into them, drops the bomb, makes that entire round possible. What a sequence from Jocko.
A massive mistake to make for ENCE. Couldn't have known it, but they definitely do now. At least they have the guns back in for round 24. AKs on 4, AWP out. And I mean, in spite of the fact the round going the way of HEET, just look at the economy state. There's 2 SMGs out on this rebuy.
It's what could follow up, though. That's the factor. Win this round, you pretty much win the map. You set yourself up with the confidence, you gave yourself the extra bonus. Dia does deal with one of the B anchors, and the AWP's holding a tight angle, deals with the lurker Spinks.
A 2-for-1 trade that favors HEET here. Smoke's going down. AWP Hades firing back. Jocko, seeing the Molotovs come his way, will force him a little bit further deeper into the B site. Backed up passive. The flashes go over, and ENCE will try go for the hit. Dia in particular, leaning forward, trying to engage against one. Lucky missing the AWP shot tag to 14 points of health. And they fall back to try and get this bomb to the site itself. Boost up might allow Lucky a bit of a better angle here. What can he see? Not the entirety of the site. The smoke gives him even less to work with. Still spots a man. Snappy goes falling.
How do they even try and recover the bomb now? Because these smokes is going to start to clear. Lucky actually misses the easy one. He's still got Jocko aggressive.
Dia now knows the setup being dismantled. Hades can try back in with the AWP himself. Leaning against Lucky, not quite catch him. The gap's just not quite there for the AWP's angle. Hoping that Hades crosses back onto the default plant position, but that bomb goes down safely. The retake for Heat slows itself down with a backstab inbound from Afro. He could be the winning element, depending on if Hades accounts for it. Doesn't see the head in time, so the shots ring out, driving passive. Engagement against body goes awry for the AWP. The AK for Team instead, with 2 kills to his name. Can't get a triple, most certainly won't get the quadra. And there will be a 14th round for Heat.
And this is what we've seen from ENCE again in these 2vx's is playing passive, not actually taking the fight on. And for Hades, when he's playing white with the NWP, if you gather the information and miss that shot to the guy that's coming up from stairs, the round's over from that point, because you get forced into the open, and they're so ready for that. Beautiful protocol there for Heat to make sure they don't over-aggress it. They slow it down, they force out the mistakes, they trade off one another, they give themselves a 14-10 lead. And for ENCE, rather than saving to play for OT, they're actually force buying in round 25.
Yeah, Galil's the AK, the MAC-10, the Deagle. Walk forward for Marden up towards this Tarp's angle, trying to lane his way in towards Ali, the spray suit and body behind the railings. We're getting decent picks back here. They have got Marlon that's made his way up towards alley entrance now. Re-smokes on from Afro. Try block him. They've seen the gap in that smoke though. 2 kills come back for Afro and body. Trade for Marlon's only good for 1. Afro doubling up. Try to look for the triple. He's seen the last 2 players. Will call in the rotates for his teammates. The flash is going over. Here we'll try blind them off. The Molotov's going to burn him out of position. The player's fallen off the building. Oh, that's Spinks down to his doom. That's not what you want to see from ENCE. Not in a round like this.
Oh no, it's the worst circumstance for it to happen. If it happens on an eco or an unimportant round, no worries. We don't even laugh about it. But now in this, that was everything. And Snappy's got to try and clutch again. 1v3.
He's got the bomb at least. Was heard though. Count for the backstab just in case. They have got exercise set up to the B play. 40 seconds to the clock. Snappy with a smoke onto the site. The Molotov's coming down as well. Try and drive them back. Snappy leaning in towards Ali. It's Jocko to deal with. Gets the spray together. 15 for Heat. That is map point for them. ENCE fought well to get this far, but they're not quite able to get the whole thing together.
Even for Afro in that sort of position, the time wasting, right? The way that he just sits there in the sandbags. And there you go. How much impact he's finding, not only with those multi-frags, but the opening kills, Jay, on this second half. He has been such an important figure for Heat to really drive in these last few rounds. And for ENCE, you force bought in the last round, it didn't come through, you've got to force buy again.
Yeah, MAC-10's Tech 9 Deagles, not even a bomb plant to bolster up any sort of investment for ENCE. It's just full force up with pistols coming in from the majority of players. Dia caught first, Martin the drop to the hands of Afro. And this looks to be a quick rush in for a quick decimation round for the part of Heat.
Oh, Afro with a nade caught down to the open. Still more players up onto the A side. Body's got to try and focus his attention onto Hades.
He wraps around the corner, he's in part. Catches the angle, catches the kill. Stappy gets taken back by Jocko, so it's all to Spinks now. Bomb away from his position, known to the CT line. Lucky just above the lone T-side member. Spinks trying to make a cheeky play, but even if he gets this one frag, everything else comes in so difficult for him. And Lucky has a suspicion he might be in the midst of the smoke. He's been seen now, tapped up, exercise, credited with the final frag of the game, and it's 16-10 on map 1 for Heat.
And what impressed me so highly, Jay, there for Heat, was the fact that it wasn't just monster rounds. It wasn't just clutches that came through, but the simplicity in their play style. How dynamic they were in the first and second half and consistent. That's the one.
And Heat definitely impressing a lot of players and a lot of people as of late in the Elisa Invitational. Another map victory to go towards their favour. Of course, it was their map pick of Vertigo, which ENCE have no experience on. So there are positives to take away from the international squad, knowing that they've not played with this 5-man unit on this map in the last 3 months. We'll get to see how far they can go in a bit more familiar territory. It's Overpass, the map pick of ENCE after the desk. Breakdown Vertigo.
battle by ENCE, but HEET takes home what they set to do, take their own map pick onto their belt or under their names, and take the lead on the series 1-0.
So they did, and as Drake kind of closed things out on the casting side of things, good composure from HEET, good team play, just keeping things relatively simple. Even in losing efforts, we saw a good flash through smoke, and then challenging as a team, as a unit. And maybe one key thing that ENCE lost here was the force buy wars in the first half, and I think that's where things got away from them.
Yep.
Yes, yeah, for sure. That's when he got the control of it. And then eventually throughout the whole city half, not able to string any rounds together, just getting individual rounds here and there. It's kind of not going to make things easy. I think it had to be like halfway through the first half when Hades managed to get it off for the first time because of those economic trouble that they were struggling with. And has to be said, he was definitely the king of that A slope. They were the ones to win it on both sides more often.
Yeah, even here with a word by some Tech-9s just flashing through the smokes, kind of quickening the tempo here on the HEET side. And telling of the economy on the first side for ENCE was that I think Hades got his first AWP buy on round number 10, and that's generally not what you want, even though it's not the strongest AWP map. It's what you want for your primary AWP to him get his big green gun.
Yeah, it's definitely not optimal, but I think in general light of things, I think ENCE gave a really good battle to HEET. This was not a very one-sided performance from one team, and ENCE had some good fragging power, like if we looked at a couple plays from Spinks and Hades, for example.
Yeah, for sure. But I think in the big picture, though, HEET definitely looked more drilled, looked more like the way...
Sophisticated, I guess.
Yeah, like the details were a little bit more drilled for them, for sure. Made life hard on the B bomb side as well for Diha. Once they were hitting there, it felt like they came with all 5 cylinders all at the same time. Good, well-timed flashes, well-placed Molotovs to make it really hard to hold the bomb site. So, yeah, HEET was just, generally speaking, the better team on this map.
Yeah. Well, and a pretty good test for ENCE on Vertigo. I mean, HEET, there are no slouches on this. I think the first time Double Pony just came into the scene, I think even back then, half a year plus ago, this was one of their go-to map picks, and it still is. It still shows, and it wasn't quite enough for ENCE then.
Yep, some of the individuals from HEET, we can bring up Exercise, for example, who we have been highlighting since their first series in the quarterfinals and heading over into this one. He's continuing the trend, so to say.
Well, one of my key points was, can Exercise keep it up? And at least in Vertigo, so far, he can keep it up.
So far, so
another good performance by him.
Yeah, it's not like it's anything spectacular. Like with this team, it is a very rounded affair between all the players, but he definitely had moments where he was the linchpin of situations, catching off rotations, getting into flank situations like here in these highlight clips as we see.
It's kind of like you could say consistency is key. Doesn't have to be the flashiest player or the flashiest plays, but in terms of consistency, it's definitely happening in terms for Exercise. But I feel like the team's performing pretty well. Joko as well, 103 ADR at the end as well. Pretty good performance. Afro with 7-2 in his opening duels was also a pretty big number.
That's nice. I'm looking at the assists from Joko. I kind of missed that 12 assists. And I think one of the info boxes during the broadcast we saw was that HEET has some of the best utility usage, or utility damage rather, on Vertigo, and that clearly showed.
For sure.
Yeah. Some of the utility being awful enough that ENCE has to force their players to jump off of the building as well. A bit unlucky there for Spinks. It happens, you know.
I must go.
one of those only maps where it's possible to actually just fall off or jump off. Though, as we're heading over to the second map of this series, we're looking at Overpass, and we haven't seen too many Overpass maps during the course of these few days. Are you excited for this one? ENCE's map pick?
Yeah, I mean, if yesterday is anything to go by, the way they played against Entropiq, for sure. They played great on that one. Safety side was doing a solid job. The way Hades and the Spinks played that A-bomb side and kind of like all the way up to the fountain area. It's something that he has to figure out themselves how to get past.
Yeah, a couple obstacles to work their way through. Though, ENCE is up against the wall, so if they're able to take their map pick, we're going to keep the series alive. But that is after the break, of course. A natural ad commercial break is required, so we shall return in a couple minutes and come back with the pre-studio for Overpass.
taking it through the chat.
Our final semi-final series, our last series of the day, and the second last series of this entire tournament in our semi-finals with HEET versus ENCE. HEET 1-0 currently in this series as we head over to Overpass, our second map of this series, and ENCE's map choice as well.
Yeah, we haven't really seen HEET play this map all too much this year. They've only played it twice, lost them both times. all at the same time. ENCE, as you can see there, they played it 5 times. Latest being yesterday against Entropiq. A bit of a overrun against Entropiq as well. But yeah, no, it's gonna be interesting to see how HEET approach the map, as we have the examples already from ENCE over the course of the last 24 hours, how they like to play it. So how do the teams match up on it?
Yeah, very different kind of a map from Vertigo, and I'm also thinking about Nuke, a map that HEET is pretty good on. A lot of verticality on those maps. Overpass just very wide, very big. And on the A side, I'm looking at Hades and Spinks. In their defense, we saw that yesterday, worked out pretty well, and they are the highest rated players in the ENCE camp for Overpass. Actually, pretty clearly, by pretty wide margins. So those are the two big guns for ENCE here.
Yeah, and I guess the difference from yesterday is the fact that now ENCE will probably start
T-side.
Yeah, T-side chiming their way in. So we will see more of that and how it actually plays out.
Yeah, I think, and starting on the T side, how does HEET hold their defense, basically? What kind of things does it come down to? How do they shut down ENCE? Is it important that they get a good start? Is the CT half on either team is going to be important here?
Oh, well, sure. You always want the good start, but Afro, as the AWP, it was actually pretty fascinating to see Lucky taking the AWPing duty somewhat on Vertigo. I'm not sure what the
map specific.
Yeah, that could be map specific, but I'd look at Afro here. He should be the primary AWPer on Overpass, and he's looking to shut things down early here for HEET.
Well, with that being said, good tangent to throw it over to the caster desk as well. HEET currently on their best standing in Elisa Invitational. Before, their previous best ranking was 5th to 6th. I think that was over a year ago in the spring edition. Can they make it to the finals, or is ENCE going to pack a punch and throw it into a third map? Dweg and Eternal J, let's go.
Right now, they are on course to do just that. An impressive showing from the HEET side over on the first map, but it was their own pick. Dweg at a 16-10. Still looks pretty decent for ENCE here. I feel like that a lot of the issues for ENCE there in that map has nothing to do with them, more to do with the fact that HEET were just playing so well on their own map pick.
And that almost sparks me with some confidence, right? Thinking that if we've got a HEET that are really playing their own game, and as a team, they're sort of working off each other really well. We didn't really see that against Harvu. Like, okay, I guess you could say they steamrolled them on the second map of Inferno, but as a whole of the series, it was a struggle. It was something that they really had to claw for, but that looked easy. So it almost gives me some positivity going into the second map to say, hey, if they get off to a good start and they start playing like they did in the first map, anything's possible again.
At the same time, though, overall, it was a 16-10 result. ENCE still hung in there. They still did some decent work. So if they can carry that own confidence from that last map, knowing they didn't quite get it over the finish line, but it made it competitive. Now going into their own map pick, they themselves could also be in with positive vibes. It's positive across the board here for both HEET and ENCE as we get to our second map of Overpass.
Yeah, the start is going to be everything. We saw the way that we had the force buy tangent of winning pistol but losing the force buy. For a team like HEET, they don't want that to happen. You want to get off to a very smooth start and not to be too difficult. For ENCE, bringing a couple of sets of util over, no one getting spotted here towards that T-Cob position, so Exercise can relay that info over.
The USP is pulled out for all players over on the HEET side. No major upgrades on the defensive line. 3 players down and connected that will start to lean forward and initially try and look for CT contact, but they're so passive here. They don't want to take any sort of engagement. Just happy to hold back and wait for the A-stack.
Yeah, this is a retake B setup with Jocko being the only player. He's just going to play defensive knowing that he's got the kit and flash, and ENCE running into a free bomb site.
Rotations inbound from the HEET side. 2 players quick to the rotates to try and join the likes of Jocko. Meanwhile, Martin's lurked out towards mid in the bathrooms. With Snappy on site, though, this has to be a B commit.
Yeah, it does. Get that bomb down, have that late lurk forward, and for HEET, now the question comes down to, is anyone actually watching for this late backstab?
Martin spots out, taps through, and takes down Afro. The backstab lurk out, working well for ENCE. Dia follows suit on Exercise, drops him in second casualty. Snappy following back up towards Lucky, as Spinks doubles up towards Jocko. It's all left the body in the 1 versus 5. At least removes Dia from play and tags Hades in the leg, but surely in this 1v5, he doesn't find much at all.
Yeah, that lurk breaks the setup because he kind of send it through because they know we can't sort of dilly-dally, we can't slow it down because obviously there's someone on our back. We need to get into the bomb site quickly. They fly out from heaven with the flash and just do not find the connections onto the bomb site immediately. Body finds a couple of kills, but he's just saving from this point onwards. ENCE, that was almost a free pass, knowing that one bomb site with only one player, you'll take that any day of the week.
Yeah, easy pickings. Nice and effective, nice and efficient for ENCE, and a good start for them on their T-side line. Again, their map pick, HEET opted to go towards the CT half of things. So to see that pistol going the way of the ENCE side is encouraging to the start here. The Galils will be back in for them as well, of course, with a round victory. We'll see HEET force the issue back for round 2.
Well, they know that they've been successful with force buying at least. Whether it's actually gone their way or not is going to be a different thing. But giving yourself the confidence going into the second rounds, buying it up, getting that scout looking for some early information, and this time around, it's at least bringing more players over to B.
A bit more of a heavy-handed B stack here from the HEET side. The Eagles in for Jocko. Now going to see them walking out towards mid and realize, okay, well, we tried the A stack, didn't work. We tried the B stack, they go towards A. Okay, fair enough. Shot to connect, easy spray coming in for the MAC-10 of Stappy, who'll also put the utility down and lead the charge into the A take. There's only one man on short. That's basically the entire defensive negated.
Oh, there is a long player, though. If Afro can get in for a couple of kills, this is still very much a turnaround.
It's away with one at least. Martin there with a responsive, a 4 versus 3 situation. The bomb does finally get planted with rotations in from Exercise on the MAC-7. But Ulti recognizes it's not a weapon really for the retake. Leave it to the automatics, and even they don't get much out of this. Smokes and Molotovs to suppress. Smokes in particular back towards bank. Body can't find an angle to work with over in the dumpster. And yeah, he'll fall back to save with his teammates.
Yeah, slightly awkward there from HEET. The first aspect is obviously Jocko just got timing, didn't he? He thought about getting aggressive out of con, maybe repositioning, getting out to an aggressive party or divider or bathrooms, and as soon as he starts walking forward, they commit. So he's kind of caught in the open, loses that fight, and you mentioned it, more of a heavy stack over towards the B site. As soon as you lose that con player, pressure starts mounting on Afro being really the only player that can defend that site properly by himself. He gets a 1-for-1. It's not enough. A scout in that position is always going to struggle. And for ENCE, this has been a very composed start from them on the T side. Haven't really been tested that much just yet.
There shouldn't be much coming in from Afro and Jocko here, so there shouldn't be a test in the third round either. I mean, maybe the upgrade weapons that are held over.
Yeah, don't sleep on them.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they could do some damage, but they didn't get much of a chance to do so in that retake. Damage being done to D very early on to start things off on the default set into the connector control. That MAC-7 will be the only player towards the B side. Again, stacked towards A over on the long position for HEET.
Yeah, I haven't seen a massive amount of success with the MAG-7 over the last couple of days. We saw Bubble upgrading to it on Nuke in that last game and not getting much out of it. Still waiting to see that highlight moment. And the highlight moment of this round is obviously the A stack. HEET going back and forth.
Yeah, Hades going to walk forward into the park position. That leaning forward into the long angle and does take some damage for it. Minimal amounts. USP is dishing out a tiny amount of damage as Jocko will get picked up by Martin. Hayes going to follow suit onto Lucky. Not quite doubling up body there with a responsive. Meanwhile, over on the B site, start a formation this particular hit. Martin will continue pressing in towards mid. They should be aware of that long presence and probably a much lesser risk to go towards the B play with the backstab that can also get forced out. Body should also end up falling on 25 points of HP to Martin. It depends on timing, really, for this Galil. B checks it and wins that fight.
Yeah, Martin just creating so much space, and even while having a completely A bomb site, they are actually bringing it into B. That shotgun not finding anything, and Afro being dealt with by Martin. Another round going up to ENCE. And for Martin, top fragging for the ENCE side, this is looking promising.
Yeah, 5-0 in the early game.
He actually didn't really get a chance to even like frag up against Entropiq. I think he got 27 kills and 25 deaths. It was literally everybody else that was just mowing.
Yeah, and obviously they mentioned on the desk that Martin probably was the best element to come out of that X-Fun plus Phoenix side. Wasn't all that fantastic over on Vertigo, though. That might start to change the narrative if he can't really keep it going here on this Overpass. The early outlook does look good, but again, we're talking about a pistol, a force buy, an eco, and now the full guns out for the HEET side. So this is where the real test begins again for him and for ENCE. Jocko back up immediately. Martin's leaning in initially. With the Galil still in hand, the M4 won't engage against him.
I'm sure they would have seen him towards Divider, so that's information that could be gathered up. Rotation from body up to the A site might come in too late. Look how much bathrooms control is gained so early into the round.
Body has no idea. Caught out in the open. Spray comes in, but still Jocko out towards mid. Turns on towards one player. Martin does find a responsive. So a 4v3 with an M4 that can get picked up for that particular player. And no real way in. A boost attempted, but Afro burns. Martin with a double up by virtue of default. And it's a safe call for Exercise. Unlucky.
Classic CSGO physics there. Molly not even at that position, but still burning to it. It was a nice attempt of the boost. They just got caught sleeping hard there on that A site. The fact that Body is going back towards the dumpster to re-smoke Monster, and they've got no idea. And I guess it comes down to Jocko not playing an information game angle. He's playing there in Divider. There's no one in for Banana. Everyone is for the bathrooms, and they've just got no idea that the A take's coming in.
One more kill against the likes of Exercise. He actually doubles up on Martin as well. So 2 versus 2. Shadow of Lucky's been seen. Snappy. Headshot to take that AWP out of play. Try to look for Exercise, the last man standing. He's just going to escape through the short pipe. Oh, barely had a dodge. Keeps that weapon for the time being, but still 4 casualties for Heat. It'll be the only weapon into round 5.
Yeah, what sucks there is if you save M4 and AWP, you can actually force. Exercise can drop 1. Lucky can drop. You got 2 M4s to back up. And then, okay, Jocko you can just go for Mars, mate. Like, you can go MP9, whatever it is. Knowing that you've now lost that, well, yeah, there's no force. There's no attempt at a buy. You upgrade lightly. You hope to get the most out of that M4A1S. And for ENCE, so far, the streak continues.
Let's have the Deagles out here for the Heat side. So it's not impossible to win the round. Obviously, it's not likely either. The M4 for Exercise. Again, just being the only weaponry to work for the Heat side. Staying towards Connector has enterveyed that entirely. They've got one player at Birthday Party that might challenge that man, but Snappy leading the charge straight up into the long control, straight up into the A side. It should be an A take, and there shouldn't be much that he can do to try and deny it here. Maybe the headshots might come in, but again, unlikely to make it happen here.
And got to be quite frustrating for Heat too, knowing they've had so many stack plays in these early few rounds, and none of which have actually really paid off or been in the right positions to do so.
2-for-1 trader Spinks does go down. Snappy on 7 points of HP, so not ideal for ENCE, but still control. Bomb goes down safely. Lucky leaning in towards dumpster, sees Hades, does not connect the shot towards him. Jocko does find Dia though, so again, they're doing some decent enough damage here on the CT side. They've got the advantage. Uh-oh. Hold on, Nate to Snappy, he's ready. Martin falls to Exercise. He have stolen the conversion.
Yeah, don't know how that's happened there. It looked as if it was just presenting one kill after the other. HE coming through for the smoke, and ENCE have just practically lost it to an eco there. You had that saved in M4, a couple of upgrades around it. What an excellent steal coming through from Heat, and they save a couple of AKs.
They just bought Deagles. That was it. They just bought Deagles. And ENCE had control right up until the very end right there. That Deagle shot came in, the 3v2, the nade back to one, and he was just like, wait a second. They'll be disappointed with that one. 2 AK save for Heat now as they get an unlikely first round on the board. And now try to spiral it into a bit of momentum now. Rifles out, nades in, standard sets coming in for information. And the AWP of Hades, of course, one of the main weapons that have been forced back by ENCE.
Yeah, we call that a gift round, and now they've got to capitalize on the follow-up. Yeah, okay, you got away with it first, you've got some AKs. What's the next? What are we actually going to see brought to the table into round 6? A slightly over-aggressive Spinks clearing out some of these positions from the sandbags, take that short water control, can maybe hear about the footsteps that are coming through with the boost up. They did not see him.
Spinks put the smokes down, trying to suppress. Extinguish the smoke's being put, oh, the Molotov's being put up there by the Heat side. Of course, they'll be aware that that player is out there now. No chance that they can get a boost up going, and they have to be wary of it, though. The whole point of that smoke is to try and remove any potential denial. It's Martin there with the kill on Jocko. Caught out towards mid position out in the bathrooms. Frag found.
Yeah, that was a pretty good sequence, actually, for Heat. They sort of flash off the AWP to gather the information of what's going on there towards A. The issue is Jocko goes for the swing in the bathrooms and loses it to Martin, and now look at what happens. Hades is just holding that angle, waiting for the side pick. Body's now alone up on A. This is not looking healthy at all for Heat.
Yeah, flashbang over from Dice, going to try to suppress even further in the mid-control. Snappy walks in, sees Lucky, sprays through for the headshot. 2 left standing as Exercise turns around a decent frag to trade, but he's the lone man left on the B side, alongside Body up in heaven. Turn around the trade back for Exercise for a 2K. But now to go for 3 more on what would be the ace clutch here. Bomb down at default, Exercise is in connector, thinking of a lean forward, but ultimately falls back, just grabs the weapon and saves.
And that's Snappy getting the absolute most out of that round possible. once Martin gets a pick, and they've got the AWP to strike in a 5v3, and they know that Body's the last player on A, they can just bring that bomb over. They don't have to have lurks out on Monster or on short side or anything over towards B, and just say, yeah, just let's take the round, get the bomb down, make sure it's a 5th. Instead, no, Snappy and Spinks go for that play. They aggress out to the B side, they still continue finding impact, and what that means is not only does a 5th round get gained, but you're doing economical damage. You're taking weapons out of the hands of HEET, and you're making it more destructive.
That one AK being saved in for exercise, of course. Firepower potential will be on him alone. The main rifles could also get force brought down. I've seen a pretty decent money line before we went to the replays there. We'll see what it looks like in a moment's time. Good shots from Hades. That is very fantastic.
Yeah, don't mind that.
Lightning fast. But yeah, ultimately around for ENCE as they continue their domination here on the T side line. Let's look at the buy here for HEET. And yes, it will be full guns out, including the AWP for Afro. M4s on the other 3. No head Kevlar against AKs though. That's fine.
Aggressive peek going in towards connector early on. Dia not even exposing the angle, and as soon as he does, that's when Afro double scopes. Now trying to get out of there. He's got Jocko aggressive in party, and he actually deals with Snappy.
Yeah, frag found against that man. Rotating to try and look towards the other park entrance. Might even lean out ahead of Fountain. Doesn't see the AWP. Spectre might be there though. Flashes going over, spotting. More of the flashes in from the T side line. Madden leans forward to gain that position back on the map control. See the player, but not get the frag.
Yeah, Jocko's done well to actually get out of that one without taking another fight or losing his life. Oh, the entry, though, out to the B side. Just Spinks with the pre-aim.
Yeah, beautiful. ENCE time right back into a 4 versus 4. Will it continue, though? Bomb going to commit here for Dia over towards the sponsor position with smokes being set up by Hades. Not quite going to commit to it just yet. Gonna wait for a bit of a moment before the hit comes through.
It seems as if they want to stall, maybe an information play, and it could have been the lurk actually from Martin over towards the A side, trying to sell the fake. Now they've got to commit with B with 3 players.
Man advantage for HEET for now. Great flash in, spray through for exercise, drops that bomb, sees the second player as well. Incendiary's back as body picks up Spinks, and now Hades is known as the last man standing in a 1 versus 4. Forced to fall back and try and save, try to get rid of the weapons if possible. Does manage to barely escape with his life. A leg shot on to exercise, a reface up against Paulie. Does catch him, look for Jocko next up, but ultimately not going to work out for the AWP. Down and out of the round, HEET with their second.
So it gets the real fundamentals here of ENCE's defaults on T side, that they want to gain this mid control. They want to try and get into divider and bathrooms and try and over-rotate HEET. The one aspect of the gameplay that kind of got rocked in that round was the aggressive Jocko. We haven't seen any presence, party, fountain, like aggressive long on a gun round yet from HEET. That gathers the opening man advantage, and then dealing with Martin and having players ready on the B side to deal with that monster play, very well done from HEET.
And try to charge forward and try to continue that momentum again, but no, Hades and Snappy. 2 frags on Jocko and Body ahead of the smokes. A 5v3 gained already for ENCE.
Just been snapped away from them. Aggressive, gets watched out for. Even ENCE are playing anti-flash. They're expecting that aggression, and now you need a miracle to recover a round like this.
Exercise. Trying to make plays again to recover the round, but looking away at the wrong moment against Dia. Means he falls to his demise again. 2 players in bathrooms now on the A site play. I've got Snappy leaning in towards them. Might catch off one, missing out the information. Got player and connector as well for Dia. They can cut off rotations, and with the B site being opened up, all he's got to do is hold position, and they'll be fine.
And the only way this round gets awkward is if the bomb rotates up con into A. And it goes into the 2 players. This is a great lurk, though, from Snappy. He'll be able to get all the way to heaven, direct them into that B site, and just have a free pass.
And no one's on that A play, but recognize no one's back on B either here. Molotov set out towards Toxic. And Lucky and Afro just know that there's no point in going for this retake. Snappy's going to clear out backline, see nobody's here. Yep, round taken. ENCE didn't even know it, but they had control the whole time.
I think they have to buy next round. They've got a decent amount of loss bonus to work with at the 2400. Lucky can drop an M4, Afro can drop an M4, and Body can buy himself. So overall, in the grand picture, they'll give themselves a decent buy going into round 9. My main concern is individual rounds, not following up and not getting consistency like we saw there on Vertigo.
You open the AK, the M4 rather. Staying in for Heat. Ooh, almost giving up for Lucky there. Didn't see Snappy. I don't think Snappy saw him either. There's no chance the AK can get the responsive. No chance for the hunt still for ENCE. They'll try it, but it's not going to work out for Snappy. 6 to the board of the ENCE side. 4 to the difference. Heat. Little bit of cash in hand. It looks like they might pass weapons and go for a force buy here.
Yeah, it makes sense. The money is there. They've got the foundation of the extra cash. So reinvest forward. If one of those two players got hunted late round, things would have been very different. But the circumstance they're in, you buy back, you get those M4s forward, you reinvest into round 9, but they've got to start stringing rounds together. Otherwise, for ENCE, we could be looking at a very one-sided first half.
Nade stacks on Lucky, not getting away with much there. He escapes dodge just in time. Ran into it previously. He's caught DC'd, I think. Yeah, oh, I don't think we can rerun the round off the back of that. It wasn't called in early enough. Exercise with a response at least keeps it in a 4v4 scenario.
Yeah, definitely something wrong there. Not even his mouse moving at all, but they do end up capitalizing relatively well. Even look at Jocko. He's got into the playground. They don't know about this.
Hades could get caught off guard for it. Back turn, spray through. There it is. 4 versus 2 now for Heat. Last 2 players making their way out of Monster. Snappy bursting on towards Body. Can't quite get the casualty against him. 18 points of health. And Martin now alone as the nade lands directly onto Snappy's position. A slam dunk for Body. A backstab inbound for Jocko. And surely from here it should be lights out for the last T-side player. He will try and isolate 1v1s, but Afro's Orb will pick him up and make it 6-3 for ENCE.
Just trying to imagine in my head how that happens. You get a player DC and yet nobody else dies on your team. That's one of the best rounds we've seen from Heat yet.
I mean, it came down to a very quick trade off the back of it.
Yeah. And that aggressive play, obviously in playgrounds. Once you start getting that map control and Hades starts running away, you just know there's no A presence, so you stack up the B side.
It just goes to show the setup was fantastic for them, and now they had lost their Lucky in the engagement towards Monster, then they would have been fine anyway. So ultimately, just that being that, obviously he's timed out, obviously it's tech pulls, obviously we'll try to bring him back in server. 9 rounds deep, we can start to assess the lay of the land here. ENCE are in control, but Heat are at least keeping some semblance of pace here.
I had a very good feeling we were going to get an ace out of him as well going in that last round.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not to me. Might have to wait for a next one.
Maybe. We'll see. Yeah, I mean, look, it's continuing to be competitive, which I'm enjoying so much here for the Heat side, because in this map pick of ENCE, it could have easily just been a case that Heat could have gotten stomped out here. Of course, it is CT half for them, and they are still on the back foot, so there is that side of things to account for. But in terms of the individuals, like, again, Exercise is still fragging. Like, you know, the big element of Heat as well. Jocko doing well. Body's now starting to step up really. Like, it's still looking plausible, still looking competent from Heat here.
Yeah, typically, Jocko is the highest rated fragger when it comes to Heat on Overpass, putting on some good performances, and he's made a lot of info plays and aggressive moments in and around the long and party sort of positions. When we think about Overpass so far, looking at that scoreboard, though, at the top, it's just back and forth rounds, one after the other, and if it continues that way, the CT economy is just going to get wrecked over if players aren't staying alive or players aren't saving correctly. And for the moment, this is probably one of these swing rounds where, for ENCE's sake, not a lot of money in the reserve. They need to capitalize on round 10.
Early missed nades and not going to work out well for the Heat side. They have got money in reserve, a little amount of it. It's money nonetheless. ENCE up for the reset if they cannot gain control from here. The most forward player in the mid and connected positions. His teammates coming in towards Monster will start to establish presence on short. Seeming like the focus will be the B split here.
Well, very interesting setup on B, though, for Heat. They've got 2 players on Monster side, and geez, look at this. They know exactly what's going on. They can just stack up the B side.
I'll try hold it down. Flash is going to keep him blinded initially. Sprays through from Body, connects onto Spinks. Exercise follows suit towards Martin. The Incendiary is going down here towards Monster, going to suppress, and then lock it out with Exercise and Lucky. 2 more frags. It's a shutdown round from Heat as ENCE have Dia standing in a 1v5.
The fact that that's happened 2 rounds in a row now gives me the indication here for HEET where they're on top. They're gaining a lot of momentum. They're playing with confidence. For ENCE, 2 things that need to change. Either more lurkers need to come out to take fountain control and out of path, or they need to be quicker. I mean, this is a minute going into an exit when they haven't shown any A presence. There's 4 people on that B site for HEET.
And again, it all came up to that big play from Jocko. The backstab wraparound, the aggressive play into the park position. Once again, working well for HEET. Did in the last round, did in the previous. And now ENCE down to pistols. You mentioned the reset, it's coming in full.
And other than the insta-ban that HEET don't play Mirage, this is the lowest played map in the pool for them.
It's coming out good still for the CT forces here. Of course, the pistols not coming up good for ENCE at all. Lucky sprays through, struggling a little bit there on the short position, but still turns on towards Dia. Spinks gets away with 1 good frag on exercise. The AK stays in for the CT side, though. The bomb should get to the A site, should get planted at least. That's a bit of a cash injection for ENCE. That's the best they were really asking for here. Never mind. Afro pulled the pistol out, detected the position, and got the shot back to deny the bomb plant. And most certainly deny the round there for ENCE.
I don't know how Exercise was the one that actually died in that exchange when Lucky was such low HP, but it's making the round count and not many players dropping. No bomb plants in these last 3 rounds that came through from ENCE, so getting that extra cash injection is something they're going to have to be looking forward to. And a Krieg coming out from Hades. Don't see this very often.
Not as popular as it used to be. I don't miss it.
Oh, no, I do, mate.
No, I hated the Krieg meta. That was just a stupid idea. Like, sorry, but not sorry. AK's in for Lucky and Jocko. M4's for Exercise of Body. D caught by Lucky to start things off. Martin swung upon. Jocko with a kill back. Return to a 5 versus 3 for HEET. Snappy finds the trade. So at least there's something in the round here for ENCE, but it's still down to the man advantage. Afro almost got caught off, but a flashbang keeps him safe as he falls away.
Yeah, that spam that was coming through from Connector gave the information up to allow the pick to come through. Spinks does a very good job of at least equalizing and showing some of that B presence, because as of right now, you've got 2 players and the bomb that have got more of a lean out to the A site, and for HEET, there's not really much presence there. All you've got is body.
Yeah, Spinks equalized in the standings, 3v3 scenario. They're going to try and rotate him away from that B site play to join his teammates in mid and long. Time is still on the side of ENCE for the time being. It will start to tick away and get to dangerous positions now. Smokes go down, 40 seconds to the hit.
Yeah, Body's got a smoke to try and give himself some cover. Needs help on the rotations, and Afro's going to be there in time.
Going to take directive engagements, look towards long. Teammate on the way in from Dumpster. Third player going to wait in B site in case it's all a ruse, but they're going to line up for the M4. 2 now seen. That should call an Exercise's attention. Afro's AWP ahead of Bank. Snappy is pushed forward of it. We'll hear the 1 player rotating. It's all a case of Afro checking his corners here. Back turn spray. It was a little bit right for Snappy, so Exercise can get the trade for it. Enough of a window for a 1 versus 1. And Hades on 46 HP has the disadvantage. The Krieg in his hands. Needs a 2K. Exercise grabbing that AWP and looking down towards mid, but the headshot comes out better for the rifle. The automatic wins out a round for ENCE.
I'm very surprised that Exercise picked up the AWP in that situation, whether it was the M4 was running out of bullets and that's why he went over to the big green. Typically, you'd see him just holding onto the rifle. A very good start into the round from HEET, but recovered. This pick was everything from Spinks, just to try and sell him on the B play, get that 1-for-1. The Krieg finding a lot of impact, and even Snappy's positioning to set Hades up in that 1v1 to win out the clutch and to gain N7.
Mac-10 Medea, AK's AWP out. Team-side players walking forward. Snappy caught by Jocko. Great start.
They just back off so quickly, don't they? He's been a nuisance. He's been such an annoying player because he's always changing up the angle, whether it's towards the top of con or it's out to party. He seems to somehow just get a pick and then just instantly fall back.
And if he doesn't get a pick, he pushes forward and just cuts off half the map for ENCE. Like,
yeah,
he just knows what he's doing up here. Martin try walk in with his teammates behind him. Lucky and Connector might be the next player to strike. If he strikes on Dia, that could close the round itself. The bomb on that player's back. 4th man slow to rotate out. Still could be contested in underpass, but they rotate out towards the short position, recognize nobody's here. Only Joker to defend the site with a jump face now. That'll call in some backup here. Nades down, execution inbounds. ENCE slowed for a moment in time, sprays through on Body, damage to 22 HP, Martin's head being seen. He gets away with a kill on towards Body, and Afro chimes in with the AWP. Jocko can't hold on forever. It's 3v3 retake.
Rotations are trying to get here. They're out towards the truck side, and they don't know about this. Hades got to protect his teammates.
Bomb not yet to commit. I thought it was a retake, but no. Lucky finally falls. Exercise and Afro missed shot. Hades inadvertently baited there by Exercise. Smoke goes down towards bank, and a rotation comes into the B side. Smart call here for ENCE.
Yeah, HEET just tunnel visioned on that one. Finally, they can start rotating players over, but it's kind of too late at this point. Exercise out from heaven needs to deny the bomb from going down. Time is low. They peek together, and Exercise can't find anything. Afro's just got to save.
They took their time crossing to the site. I thought for a second it was going to give Exercise the chance to deny the round, but no. Not to be in the end. And as great as Jocko was up in the aggressive force when it came to the site defense, he needed so much more backup. So many players for ENCE pressing the issue. And the AWP just having to save into the next round for the HEET side. No choice in the matter. ENCE will get to 8 and win out the T side half.
Definitely when we highlight the weaknesses here of HEET on Overpass, it's the late round. We can give them all the praise we want for guys like Jocko, getting map control, getting opening man advantages, finding impactful kills. But think about the amount of times Body up on the A site only getting a 1-for-1. The NWP getting caught off over there at Bank. This round is another prime example of rotations being there towards truck, but then nothing really getting struck of that. That's another round where they've got an opening man advantage, and they just can't hold the bomb side. It feels as if when there's sort of 30, 40, 50 odd seconds left in the round, that's where ENCE really start coming alive.
Broken buyback for HEET in round 14 from us, SMG. ENCE having an awful lot of firepower. The AWP of Afro at least can strike first. Should get caught off with a decent trade. Flashbangs keeping all sorts of players blind here on the B site. Smoke's down for the fast execution here for ENCE. They're still looking around for more. Body in the midst of said smoke. Gonna hold his SMG up close range. Try hunt around for Dia as Jocko finds Hades. Brings the advantage back in from that connector control. Dia struggling to deal with Body, but will get the frag in. Caught with U2 and hand by Exercise. A 3v2 ensues for HEET, and Jocko continues to backstab here. Up towards the top of spawn. Snappy's got his back turn. This is an easy pick. A bomb to be dropped, and surely the round to be won because of it.
What a sequence coming through from the B-side play. The fact that the AWP aggresses forward, gets one kill, but just sees how many players there are. Immediately from that point onwards, Jocko can start aggressing towards Connector. They can stack up the B-side, pick off one another, and ENCE, they go for a B rush, and it gets red almost instantly in the rounds.
So 6 to the board of HEET, continuing to keep this as close as possible. It's a competitive matchup again on the ENCE map pick here. And for round 15 with no bomb plant bonus, there's no major buy. A couple of AKs, Tech 9s, AWP, Mac 10 I should say rather, AWP for Afro instead. Turns on Spinks, picks up the opening duel, not quite the second, but it's a 2-for-1 as Lucky also chimes in.
Yeah, Jocko's got to get quickly back towards that A site. No one's defending this long position. They've got that rotation coming through from Body, but Jocko's got a spot for info.
Bash seeing Martin, catching him completely blinded. And caught by Jocko, sending him flying. 2 left for the ENCE side. Do catch Exercise off guards. That's one more good trade. They could open up the B site. Lucky still back at water though. Waiting to receive the T side contact. Molotov's down, Smoke's up to the site. ENCE gonna have to commit.
I'm very surprised they didn't commit with it with the first wave of util. They get the heaven smoke down and they just stop. This just buys so much time for the rotations. Now you've got Lucky and the crossfire between Body on the bomb site.
Getting in with that AWP Snappy. Looking on. Body just got spotted there. The head seen by Snappy. Can't capitalize on the kill though. Had util in hand. Smokes go down to the site to try to buy a bit of cover. The last piece of T-side util used though as Jocko finds the frag against the bomb carrier. Body will close out on Dia, and there will be a 7th round for HEET to close out the half on a high. Still down by a round, but still competitive again. HEET are keeping it close.
Yeah, if anyone told me that HEET would put up much more of a fight than Entropiq did against ENCE, I wouldn't have believed you. But they've come into this best of 3. They've got their first map under wraps, and they're putting in a very good and valiant effort here on the second map. Yes, they don't have a lead going into the second half, but they're still in this.
That they are. But the best days are behind the French side. The majority of their rounds on this map have always been won on the CT half. Is this where ENCE will start to run away with things? Pistol round may set the pace for the rest of Overpass. And again, ENCE being a map down in this series, really want to win this one to stay alive here in the Elisa Invitational. Glocks versus USPs. Julie set for Snappy. It will be Spinks, forward player in the long control. Overwhelmed by exercise. Great kill to start. Hades thinking of re-aggressing towards this, but needs these headshots and they're not coming through for him finally. Lucky falls, as does exercise. Last bullet in the mag gets the reload against Jocko, but Jocko finds a response, a 3v3.
Yeah, finally they trade him. They just know they've got to keep fighting to try and drop Hades. Dia now onto the long position, just trying to gather some more info. He might get baited into an over-aggressive peak because him and Martin are going in towards the bathrooms. That's leaving them on the A site open.
And the Julie's back on Snappy. No Kevlar to back him up, though. Snap towards the B site for the contact positions. Afro's watching bathrooms. Think he just saw it. Pixel gap catching Dia for it. Seeing where Marden is as the man advantage goes the way of HEET. Marden forced to rotate back to the A site, defend the site centrally, and HEET continue to slow things down.
It's a lack of information as well. Like, you've only seen Afro, you haven't seen the bomb, you don't know where the mass players are. Martin's gonna have to step up on the defensive.
Base in, Tap's doing damage, he's taking direct engagements. Molotov's coming down with the smokes and flashes. Now it's going to call in attention from Snappy. Inbound via the dumpster entrance. Gap in that smoke. Jocko has no idea, but he turns around with a headshot regardless, and Snappy can't do much to hold off against him. HEET will find 8, equalize with a pistol round.
And I don't know how much we can really draw on some of the CT win percentage against T percentage in the last 3 months for HEET, because it's so limited on this map. Again, under the HEET banner, they've only played it twice. If you look at the full landscape of the last 3 months, they played it once as Double Pony. It's not a map that gets played very much in the map pool. So a limited sample size, and with a pistol victory, this is looking very promising. Those were some unbelievable trades, and the turnaround spot from Jocko to get the kill into bank.
Down to the pistols on the force by ENCE. They got so close on so many occasions to winning that round. But didn't work out. Snappy set with a Deagle ahead of the smokes out on the short position. Molotov's back, turning away from the contact position. Lucky still gets away with a kill. Open things up for HEET.
Yeah, man advantage up against the force buy is exactly what you want. It's so passive. They're only just taking some of that fountain control now at about minute 10. They've left the bomb very deep towards that bottom of connector angle, and the only real aggression here in the bathrooms is Spinks alone.
Looking at from long, got to turn his attention towards that mid control, hearing some shots. Spotting some contacts and might have to call it into his teammate. Center of the site, that's Hades, overwhelmed by the firepower, the sheer automatics. And looking for Spinks, can't quite see him just yet. The Mac 10 gets away with a kill back. Everything keeps going the way of the HEET side. 2v5. There's not much in it for Dia and Martin.
This is when I think ENCE start getting a bit nervous, right?
Yeah.
When you're 8-8, you're on the force buy, you don't find a single pick, you don't get any success, you save into the next round, you eco. We're looking at a 10-8 scoreline. And it was a slow start for them on this map. It didn't really feel like much was coming through. The lead was, what, 6-2 at one point for ENCE, and now the lead's going over to HEET. This is a definite comeback on for the Frenchman.
Yeah, this is the point where you start looking at that competitiveness that they had in the last map and in this map so far. You start thinking to yourself, what if? What if HEET have a lot more up their sleeves than we initially planned for? What if that 33% win rate is a little bit, what's the word? Misleading, I think.
Yeah.
What if there's more to this team? I mean, what if that victory against Sprout was a bit more legit than people might give it to them? Like, you know, what if? That's all the question is right now for this ENCE side. Because now they've lost the lead, and they're not going to have a buyback to try and turn it around. HEET should extend to 10.
And when you think about the potential too, there's only actually 5 teams in between them in the rankings. ENCE at 15th, HEET at 21st. It's not a massive gap when you think of it in that sort of a compromising situation. But to actually do it in a best of 3 in a semi-final context is something else. up against the Eco. This is a chance for Body to really farm up.
MAC-10 leaning in initially. Doesn't see anything as of right now here. The jump phase from Snappy, hoping he picks up something over in Connector. It's Afro that starts off instead out towards mid, rifle v pistol. The MAC-10 Body just missing the angle on Marden. Window was open for only a brief moment and he couldn't get there in time. We'll try press forward towards that B site regardless. Seeing Hades at least burst fire, unable to connect.
It's all about not running into the stack. Afro is starting to clear some of these cheeky angles out from the bathrooms. The nade placement onto Marden. Body gets a couple of kills to the MAC-10, and this is the round just finished on from this point.
Yeah, plenty of cash, of course, for the double up. Afro deals with Dia, one player to take a ton to take damage there on the Heat side. All 5 alive for Heat. 10 to 8, and as well as that, with all weapons staying in play, there's no reason to reinvest into round 19 here. They'll pass the MAC-10 over towards Exercise. And they'll take this as a bonus round. If the guns come out for ENCE, they can take this one back, and that'll be positive for ENCE, but Heat have nothing to lose here.
Yeah, try and get as much out of the limited weapons as possible. That MAC-10, those Galils, they're not ideal, but if you can get something out of it and get some momentum going forward, that will help you massively. Hades going for that spot, looking for the opening man advantage towards that T-Con position. They're not even offering anything up. One flash, not even a jiggle.
I mean, look at the helmets here for ENCE. The Galils and the MAC-10 prime for this kind of a round. 2 players on Marden and Snappy that have the helmets, 3 others that will end up falling down on one-shot headshots from the Mac and the Galils. Jocko can deal with the other 2. Incendiary set on the default, but it's set piece ready for the B site for Heat.
Now the stack's in play, though. 4 players over towards this B site. This is going to be tough for Heat.
Incendiary down from Marden, body blocks 1, MAC-10 wraps the corner, Marden gets away with a decent kill. Jocko for the responsive, dealt with by Dia 4 versus 3. It's only Galils now for Heat, as Afro presses up towards Toxic, will try to find an angle to work with, get Spinks to fall aware of where Snappy is at. Blind sprays back from the M4, as Lucky gets a couple of tags in, but takes some to return this 3-on-3 situation. HP advantage for ENCE, but Dia drops. Hades with a response now. Bomb should get planted, at least in theory. Lucky's waiting for the CTs to make a mistake. They're aware of both players' positions. Exercise the unknown entity of the T side. Watching out ramp as Snappy starts to lean in, and Lucky's going to wait. Oh, Snappy tempting fate. He's going to hold position.
Oh, that molly goes down. That buys some time for Lucky to get the bomb plant, but instead it looks like they actually want to try and fight the AWP.
They're still trying to hunt for Hades, and Lucky wins the fight on him. Snappy now alone. An Exercise swings upon the man, kill found, Lucky low HP, 18 seconds, Snappy caught in a reload, Lucky's not going to challenge him directly, he's still checking sight, swing out towards ramp, and Lucky wins the fight with a 2K, and a steal here for Heat.
Mate, I ain't being funny. That's probably one of the best clutches we've seen today. When you think he's on low HP, he has the opportunity of getting the bomb down. He doesn't. He re-aggresses out to that right-hand side, takes the fight onto an AWP dry, and then wins it out to the in-game leader of Snappy. That is a massive round to come in for Lucky. With the Galil out of all weapons, that's a bonus round. What an exemplary style of play coming through from Heat. That gets them to 11, and now you could just taste victory from here.
Yeah, so much money in the bank. Heat can take another round loss. AKs on 4 players. Lucky saved 1 M4 in from the previous round. And it just, again, what if? What if Heat get the next? What if Heat get the next gun round? ENCE must be having so many questions running through their head whether they can really do this. Most certainly not in this round, they can't. Half buy with Deagles. With the way they just played against the full rifles here, the Heat side, so much more firepower, should make this easy.
Yeah, HE placement's been on point. Down to 55 for Snappy, just eating that alive. Haven't seen many boost attempts from Heat to look into the bomb side. And back and forth with the spam. There is an aggressive player out towards that park position, so I'll be keen to see if that continues on, because Spinks might be able to find the bomb.
Does catch the tags. Might call some info into his teammates. Hades with a scout headshot. Okay, maybe this might not be as easy as you might think. Exercise drops next. 4 versus 3. Jocko leaning in towards Connector. The Deagle spam misses all the bullets for Spinks. That could have been a man advantage doubled up there for ENCE, but as it stands, a 3v3 instead.
Yeah, I look at that. He gets that kill, they probably win the rounds. Now it's a bit more touch and go, because Hades is over-aggressing. He needs to continue finding impact with this scout.
Grab the AK, dropped off a dead body. Known here to the T side now with information given up. He does fall back to the site safely. 48 HP to hold off against 3. Needs backup desperately. Dia will be the closest member, and Jocko just takes him out of the fold. Triple up for the Frenchman. Now with sight gained, bomb will go down. Retake on for ENCE in the round. They'll try deny it through the smoke. Nothing out for Dia here.
They've got to go for this. Half by rounds, pick up an AK. This is still winnable.
Gauged upon, Lucky gets the headshot, and suddenly just like that, it makes him not so winnable anymore. Deagle spam for Dia does come up against 2. Actually, it's still on. 1v1. 3k up for Dia, 4k up for Jocko. Unknown here, no defuse kit either. 10 seconds to the tap. He's got U2 in hand, but the AK doesn't connect the shot back. M4 picked up instead. Flash is going over. Jocko is fragged back, and Dia needs to go for the whole defuse. He doesn't know. He doesn't know. He's going back for the AK instead to save the weapon, as Heat will sneak in the 12th.
Oh my goodness. I think if that information came over quicker, he could have got onto that bomb, get the 10-second defuse. Very close rounds, very expensive. It's not going to mean a massive amount to Heat when it comes to the economy game, but the mental knowing we nearly lost it to an eco. Spinks gets that kill. I think that round's done.
God, Dia putting everything he can behind that last clutch. But just not enough. The flashbang. How well was that placed there from Jocko? Throwing the information game off as opposed to winning the 1v1 fight, and it works well for Heat. They've got kind of cash to invest into in this next round. See the AWP coming out for the tower boost. I think a missed smoke came in from the CT side as well there. You could see it on the bridge. I think it was supposed to go down a monster.
Yeah.
Instead, Afro's going to wait for aggression that will not come his way.
Yeah, Dia didn't jump throw with that smoke, so didn't land out towards the monster position. And Heat not quite capitalizing on that rundown towards the Heaven position. Now regrouping out towards sort of the monster area. They've got some connector control from Exercise. Nothing out to A these last few rounds.
Slow towards B for round 21. Again, Molotov's thrown over. Flash is coming in. Smokes down for the CT side. Continuing to suppress monster. Attempted jump face for Dia. Almost cost him, but body didn't hit the shot. Exercise now working in against Spinks. Does not see him and struggles with the spray. That's a kill back for the CT side as the hit looks to come through now. Slow walks out of monster. Snappy gets picked up. Shocker does not win the fight to Marden. Re-smokes back down. Flash is not catching that CT player blind, but the lack of ammo most certainly will catch him dead. 3 on 3 now. Dia still sat at water trying to look for an angle, but nothing's coming his way.
Now, these entries from bodies have been very good out from Monster, and they're still charging through, trying to see if they can pre-aim Spinks up towards the short side, dealing with body.
And the Molotov will force him back. 3v2 now. Lucky drops to 1, and it's all on Afro with the AWP. Caught off by Spinks, who re-peeks amidst the fire, makes it a triple and makes it a 9th round that ends. They're back in with a bit of a round here. Finally, something to go with here on the CT side of this map. That is their first round in this half for ENCE.
And how frustrating is that, knowing that the fight that got lost by Exercise aggressive in con actually leads to Spinks coming out of Connector over to the short sandbags and finding 3. If Exercise would have been more passive in that sort of situation and waited for Spinks to rotate, then he probably gets at least a kill. And it's a completely different situation because Body's entries outside of Monster are everything. You're right about that first round now. And Heat are taking the tactical because they know, let's switch right back on.
I love how much faith Corvette have in ENCE, by the way. Here, still odds-on winners for map 2, despite the ridiculous streak coming in for Heat. It is still 3 rounds to separate here, and the international map pick could still be flipped on its head. The cash still there for the T-side line, though. Tactical pause just taken. Heat will take a moment to think about their buy-up, but it should just be full rifles here, including that AWP for Afro.
Just knowing any advantage is going to start things off well for them. Not a lot of money in the reserve for ENCE. If there is a hard reset coming off the back of round 22, bringing the AWP into con. We haven't seen this before by Afro.
Got it set, ready for position. No one's going to offer it up here but a CT side. Having to sit pretty in the B site itself. The blind firing onto Afro. Or onto his position at the very least. Not connecting any shots against the man. Lucky's been taking the early damage here on a short position.
Get that molly out towards a divided position. Pops in the air. That doesn't deal with Hades. At least the shot doesn't connect.
Wow, what a swing for Afro. Leg shot. Brings in the HP numbers to evens. Smokes down. Molotovs and flashes going over. Hades will watch out towards that mid-angle, expecting more from the T side, but little comes through for them again. Heat playing passive and slowly, pressing that bomb into mid, want the A site.
And they've still got Lucky as that late lurk over towards B to try and cut the rotates, but all the emphasis is now being applied down on A, and Spinks is aggressive. Another team flash, actually.
Not in the corner for Spinks. Jocko hoping he can lean forward. Utility thrown over, the smokes down. Counterbait utility on the B site from that lurker. Rotating up for Lucky. Spinks swings upon Jocko dry. Looks for Afro as well, but the AWP chimes into a 4 versus 4. Dia, backside. Hades alongside him, lining up for position. The AWP trying to find an angle as the AWP, but the T-side strikes instead. Hades in one trade. Exercise quick to respond. Martin also up on the site just as quickly. Doesn't quite find body. Looks for Exercise instead, but doesn't check the entire of the APC corner. So it's Stappy alone in the 1v3. Tagged 39 and forced to save. Heat might have lost the last round, but in this one, they're right back on track.
That was brilliant with the trading. Notice the way that Martin's getting baited. He's going, oh, they're planning for truck. I'm going to focus all of my attention because I'm not seeing much around by APC. And then you've just got the tightest of angles for Exercise walking for that run out. 13 up for Heat, and the reset coming in hard here for ENCE. They've got loss bonus at least, but it's the money in the reserve is not great at all. Spinks will be able to drop one and by himself. Hades can probably buy himself. Dia and Martin are going to be in difficult situations. There will still be a buy, but Heat find their 13th. Oh,
unbelievable shooting. Heat are now 3 away from the 2-0 series against ENCE. 2 2-0s in the semi-finals, man. Everything is being brought to the table here. Both squads want that grand final spot, but Heat are looking hungry for it right now and just salivating at the idea they could compete for the first place position. The first tactical called in for ENCE in this map up, and right now they need it.
Yeah, got to the grand finals in Multivibes Knockout Series 5, got to the grand finals in ESL Challenger February EU closed qualifier, got to the grand finals again when it comes to the RMR Open qualifier, all of which have been won by the Heat side. Now, could they put themselves into a 4th grand final under the banner of Heat? I mean, what a signing that would be for the organization to just think that grand final placings keep coming within the first couple of months of signing these guys.
What if they won it as well? That would be the other big thing for them.
Yeah, definitely.
That's 2 Champion to Champions tournament victories if they were able to do it here. Of course, we've still got a day to go to find out whether or not that'll end up being the case, and they've got to get through ENCE right now in this matchup. So it's not completely solidified just yet. They just got to get these next 3 rounds. ENCE are posting up the damage. The guns are in for round 23.
Realistically, Heat win round 23, they win the game. Like that, this is where it's so touch and go. So this is where it comes vital to really holding composure in a round like this. And for example, not running into a B stack. Look at how many CTs are here for ENCE.
Shot connects for Hades. Afro taken out first. Aggressive on the short corner. Pick up for ENCE. Start things off for now, but it's still slow from Heat.
That's a lack of information too. They haven't been able to bait a massive amount from the B site anchors at all. Spinks has got a duel onto Jocko. This could be big.
M4 engages. Jocko down. 5 versus 3. ENCE still hold control, but Exercise has other plans. Spinks to be removed from play. Finally, a trade back for Heat, and they're going to try press on to this A site, it seems. Bomb on the back of body, with smoke being set up for him. Exercise trying to look for the entries. He's been stellar in this series so far. Can he have a stellar round to try buy back a chance here? AWP spotted, and he taps his head off his shoulders. Second player falling to the mad body, responded to by Dia, and Exercise ducking away from the flashbang. 16 seconds, bomb's been dropped. Dia, a known entity, blind sprays through the smoke. The bomb will go down, and Exercise all wait. There's a backstab also in down for Martin. The one unchecked and unaccounted for element here for Heat, but Exercise makes it a triple. Martin with a responsive Lucky has no idea where he's come from. He spots him now, but the spray isn't good enough to win the round. A 10th for ENCE as they come back in the game again.
What an effort from Exercise. Those entries towards the bomb site are everything. But you're right about that backstab. Martin's coming up from Con, and no one's got any idea. Lucky's not looking behind him, nor is Exercise. So in that 2v3, you're always going to have a tough time if you're not keeping eyes on the wrap. Here's those entries again onto the AWP 2, trying to over-aggress, knowing that he needs to try and make a play, but not being able to deal with Martin. That gets double digits. That gets a 10th now on friends.
Exercise, man, he's going to be kicking himself with that particular round. Almost got himself a quadra. Did so much work to try get into the site. It still wasn't enough. Tactical for HEET now. Their second called in.
Pressure starts really mounting here because the Frenchmen know they're in the driver's seat. They're in the better position right now. They've just got to work with it. How much more can ENCE really have? Back and forth rounds just kind of tells you. I mean, look at the loss bonus. 2,400 here for ENCE. No money in the reserve. He could do even further economical damage if they're able to come through big going into a round like this in 24. But the money's skewed. There's not a massive amount of it to work with. So you light invest. You buy it down half. Not even going for a hero rifle at all. So just thinking about bringing everything forward into that next rifle round.
Guns pulled out, AWP in for Hades. Jocko's Deagle watching. Rotating back for here. The flash is in. We'll try and suppress the T site and making their way out into the open. Hades' AWP will just watch the stairs, ready to receive the HEET camp. Walks in. Shot connects to Exercise, legged out to 17.
This could be quick. Very pacey from HEET once they get the contact just to explode into the A site, and Hades is making it so difficult for them.
How Hades got away with jumping up there and still getting away with the kill, I will never understand. Not even getting a tag against him. HEET missing a perfect opportunity to frag against the player and open things up in the round. Of course, it is just pistols out, so they're just looking for bonus frags, getting some weapons away from the ENCE camp. Pressing onto the A site. If a bomb plant comes through, that'll be nice as well. The smokes will go down towards it. Counter flash in from the CTs. 2 line up for Spinks, make it a triple, as Exercise will fall the same.
Yeah, ENCE starting to get some rhythm under their belt now on the city side, stringing some rounds in a row, bringing back the deficit up against the anti-eco, having a fairly easy time, no one even taking damage, and all those upgrades of the slight utility, the upgraded pistols just don't even mount to anything. Now they can focus in on the next rifle round. For ENCE, 2's only the difference.
Marginal difference at that. They went down 16-10 in the last map. They've already surpassed that expectation here on Overpass, and it's a half buy for HEET.
Again?
Okay. What is the thinking here?
I don't know. It's got to be pacey, just with the Tech 9, something aggressive.
Well, Hades already with the AWP being connected is going to get overwhelmed with the numbers game. Finds Lucky and Jocko there with a Deagle shot. Spinks to fall back into the bathrooms. Reposition, find a different angle to work from here. Jocko firing away, making no qualms about his position. Spinks could utilize that. Or again, he could get overwhelmed by the numbers game.
This is workable now. 4v4 with an AWP. If you're able to bait an overextension and one of these CTs on A to overpeak, this is the opportunity for the taking.
Molotov's up, body catches Martin, and it's a 4v3 with now 2 rifles to play with for HEET.
Oh, this is looking juicy. This is looking very promising now. There are still 2 on A, and Afro's just waiting for a jump spot, and it might just come from Dia.
ENCE cannot afford to lose this round here. The damage that would be done to them, the loss in the round, that could be enough for HEET to take it. 47 seconds. Afro walking forward. Spinks on the trash can boost. Detected. The shot misses out. Trade's available for his teammates. Sprays through for the double up body. At least responds towards Dia and overwhelms the next. So Snappy with his rifle versus 2, but it's an AK and an M4 to play with for HEET.
Oh, look at the map control they're gaining. Already with an aggressive plant open for Bank and from Dumpster. And Snappy's coming the other way. He's coming up from top con.
Oh, he's got to attack so deep back into the site himself. And HEET just know. Such a great read on this post plant. Body with a triple now on for the quadra. Exercise would love to get one more frag to seal the deal on this site he couldn't take previously. Checking pizza corner for Snappy. Walking forward, he has a smoke that can go down. He can go for the ninja stick. That might be his best bet here. 5 seconds to it. He has the kit sprayed up by Body, who gets the blind frag, and HEET find the steal. 14-11. The half buy works.
I can't believe it. They didn't even need to half buy there. I don't know what happened. They had so much money to work with, but it worked. Maybe it was the idea of having the pistols close range, because you saw with that connector stance how quick it was getting as close as personal with those CTs. They pull off a fantastic half buy round, 14-11. Even Hades' glass cannon going into the next round.
ENCE are in such a bad position. No util to work with, not just the lack of armor, lack of helmets, lack of reserves as well. This could be HEET resetting ENCE for the 15th round. What a day it would be if both our higher ranking teams were to be upset here in the Elisa Invitational. It's not exactly like it's off brand for us. But we're talking about number 15 and number 17 in the world. Number 17's already fallen. Number 15, 2 away from being eliminated.
It's normally the invitees in the quarterfinals that get the upset, not here in the semis. The smoke down towards that long contact. 3 on A. This is a good read by Snappy. Afro's just waiting for a jump spot, getting close towards his teammate, and Hades is getting pushed back with a molly.
Burn to 49. Repositioning towards mid, does hit a shot on Body. That's at least a positive element. They got one player close range, but Jocko, not quite the shot for the AWP. Jocko returns to a 4 versus 4, and Dia chimes in from the back lines of the site. Now to the man advantage here for ENCE. The Molotovs rain down from the truck, and Dia is forced away, but it's not a commitment yet for HEET.
And they don't know about Lucky, so this might pull the attention over from the Bathrooms player to focus in on the bomb site and allow this lurk to come through.
Molotovs towards bank. Lucky working in from mid. Spinks sees him, hears him, spray through for the man as Dia gets 2 more from the backside. A triple for him. And a 12th for ENCE. They are alive, but just.
Yeah, could be a struggle to close here for HEET. Just getting to that 15th round, having that security. Money's in an awful state for them. Some players have got plenty of cash, others don't at all. Hades with that AWP just gathering the information, and from the call immediately of Snappy just to play 3 up on A. And Spinks and Diha working together in the late round, and Body's gone for a hero AK. They've gone for another one of these half buys.
It worked in the previous round, so why not? Smokes in the Body to try to aggress in towards that short control, expecting a jump phase, exercise tanking nades. And they have seen Snappy spray through a little bit of damage, but not a lot.
Now, getting as much out of this round as possible. Boost can try and come through. There's spam on the other side. That's the last thing they want against them.
Oh, close for Dia. Body will look up the top 6, see nothing. Take a shot to indicate he hasn't exactly gone for the boost up. The Snappy up at Grill. They've got Marden ready for point-blank contact here at Monster. The walk out for the AK. Could catch Hades in heaven. The spray's a bit awkward. The second face does get the kill in the end. Advantage for HEET now.
Oh, this could be a fake. Try and draw him on the B play. Go up towards connector. There's only one in divider. That's the only play to defend A.
And the bomb is over towards Monster, so we're going to have to go the long way around here. Exercise's shadow's been seen. Just Spinks can take a trade, but so can Body. A 4v3 instead. Dia will be quick to the site with the M4 in his hand. A flash going over, trying to stall the T-side players a little bit more. Swing out. It's Afro with his kill. Assisting on Body for his triple. Snappy falls to the quadra, and Marden's all alone. ENCE getting bodied by HEET as they look for match points.
These veterans, Lucky and Body, when it matters the most, are stepping up tenfold. What a round this has been from the in-game leader. And Madden's now going to win a 1v3.
We'll push up. Look towards the truck, look towards the backside. Lucky spots him. Afro goes in for the execution kill. And HEET are 1 away from the grand finals of the Elisa Invitational. You can see the money just there. The SMG started to come through for ENCE. It's going to be a broken bye.
And this is against the team that went 32 rounds to 9 against Entropiq in the last round of the Invitational. HEET with a struggling series of a 2-1 win over Havu, and now 1 away of getting the 2-0 in the semis. And look at the buy they're up against, Jay.
Or Boost catches the frag to Marden. What a start that is for HEET. As if the confidence couldn't get any higher for this T-side. They picked one up from one of the most unlikely players you can utilize in the early rounds. Spinks and Hades desperate to try and back in, but Exercise makes it a 5v3. Spinks can at least find the trade.
Try and get over to that rifle, at least get an upgrade in that sort of standpoint. Not a lot of re-aggression out towards Park or Fountain. Still keeping 2 on B. This is a good read by ENCE.
The walks in for Heat, making no qualms about it, though. So much information being given up. Snappy has got to be the linchpin element. Dia on the site. Flashes, nades, sprayed through, goes the right. Snappy's going to go ahead and try and join him here from short. Jocko tag, a kill found. Lucky with a responsive Dia, trying to hold on, but Jocko trades it. And Spinks on the backstab is the lone player left. Afro had his AWP set in. It's a 1 versus 2, and that bomb committing Afro with a swing ready for the kill. And there it is. If you can't take the Heat, get out of the semi-finals. It's the French side now in the grand finals of the Elisa Invitational.
Oh, what a performance. That's put a smile on my face because they came in prepared in this game. What a turnaround from their series against Harbu to 2-0 the team events. Who would have seen that coming?
That's both our top-ranked teams in the semis now out of the Invitational. Who would have seen that come into egg? Heat came to play today. ENCE did all that they could, but they couldn't make it happen against our rising French stars. What a match, what a run it has been from them. And SKADE have their challenges now in the Elisa Invitational Grand Finals.
Oh my goodness, guys on the desk, what are you got to say about that? 2-0, it looked like they rolled them over in the end there.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Dweg. I'm pretty sure we're a bit shocked as well about that series, as it's a 2-0 for Heat, the team that wasn't necessarily seen as having the upper hand into this series. But with the results that they come through, it definitely looked like they were a bit more prepared than ENCE were, and they looked pretty good in towards the end.
I think what I said in the before this day,
Before the voice crack.
before the first game actually,
Yeah.
was that any given day either of these teams can win on both matchups. We saw SKADE coming out on top. You kind of saw the edge was there for Copenhagen Flames, and the same here. The slight edge was for ENCE, but he comes out and they deservingly win that.
Yeah, a couple of surprises today. Slight surprises, as ENCE was the slight favorite here. And especially thinking about Overpass here on the CT side. It's not like ENCE didn't get their opportunities. They won a couple of important rounds, and they had their chances to connect a few together. But then the multi-kills that we're used to, ENCE getting Hades, a couple of starters, or especially Spinks getting those double kills, really taking down the attacking troops. Those key players weren't really able to do that today. A lot of credit goes to Heat and their trading. I think that was on point today.
Yeah, the T sides were the one that defined this game in the end, but we did have a clip also from the second half.
Oh yeah, this is probably a Heat execute, like just an example that really shows off. I think Spinks gets 1 kill here, so yeah, one of those rounds, and then just simple smoke, simple execution. The players were on point in these, and as I said, I thought the trade game was really on point. Spectacular stuff from Heat today. Yeah, Spinks 1 for 1, and they just move up a little bit. The next players for ENCE, they're in dire situations. They go for the peaks. Afro is ready. It's clean stuff.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be more difficult than that. Exactly. And also on the CT side, they were doing good flanks. This map does open up for it, so they had early reads on some of the B hits that ENCE was throwing their way. And as we can see on the scoreboard, it was a team effort. Like, apart from lucky, they were very close to one another in terms of fragging as well.
In terms of fragging, definitely. And I think kind of like both teams had their ups and downs. Like both T sides started off really nicely. ENCE got their chain going on with the first 4 rounds. Swapping sides, Heat also got 5 rounds right away on the T side. But, you know, this was a bit kind of like, I don't know if it's just an Overpass thing, but it felt like it was a bit, I wouldn't say broken or disconnected, but you weren't able to chain rounds that successfully on either team, on either side, really. Except for the starts.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of is the fact that in Counter-Strike you can buy almost every nowadays with how the economy works and how the teams like to play. So maybe that goes to or kind of contributes to that.
Well, we do have a winner interview, and it's going to be Afro this time from Heat. Hello, Afro. Congratulations on your win against ENCE 2-0. How are you feeling, man?
Thanks. I'm feeling good. Thanks.
That was a pretty wild series as well, considering ENCE is a pretty tough opponent to come up against. Your past history with the Elisa Invitational, your best seeding was 5th to 6th. Now you're going to the grand finals. How are you feeling about that?
We are very happy about our result. I mean, it was a tough match, as you said. And yeah, I think we managed to make them pressure. And yeah, we won the game. I would not say easily, but it's a okay result.
All right.
So yeah.
Yeah, a little bit hard to swallow here. You taking down 2 Finnish organizations already, so props to you for that. I just want to know, what do you think was the key today, the main thing that worked for your team today in beating ENCE?
We are becoming a team that is like used to play this type of match. I mean, playing such a team like ENCE would not be that easy for everyone, but yeah, we are used to this. And yeah, we prepared the match well, and individually everyone was very on point, so I mean, that was so hard for them to counter us, I guess.
Yeah, we've been trying to kind of figure out your team's identity. How would you explain your team as how you are as a team? Like, how do you guys want to play Counter-Strike, basically?
We are a big group of friends, for real, not yeah. So we are all listening to everyone when we are playing. Like, anyone can say something and we will do this thing. And Body is doing a really great job with our coach to prepare the match. So yeah. And yeah, as I said, like individually, exercise, Joko, Lucky, Body, that's insane. Like, if the opponent are not that good on this day, then they lost for sure.
I've got one more from here. Obviously, making it the grand final, a big accomplishment for you. Also making the RMR. HEET is looking on fire. What is your ceiling? How far can you go as a team?
Of course, our goal is to manage to qualify for the major, because the last RMR we failed. And yeah, now we are well prepared. We had so much time to prepare, so yeah, our main goal is to qualify to the major, and yeah, win this type of tournament like we are doing there, Elisa and Malta. I mean, this type of tournament that is very good to play for us.
Well, you guys are you're going into the grand finals. You've already qualified for the RMR. I was thinking you could maybe have a couple of words for your fans, and I would also ask a recommendation parler en français.
Okay, I will do it in the both language.
Sure.
So thanks everyone for watching. It was amazing to play this match. I see a lot of you that are cheering for us on the streams and on Twitter. So thanks a lot. Thanks to it, and thanks to every sponsor that we have. Et en français, du coup, merci les gars, c'est très gentil de nous avoir supportés. J'espère que vous serez là demain pour la finale. Et continuez à nous donner de la force comme ça, c'est vous qui nous portez depuis Double Poney. Ça change pas, merci beaucoup. Bisous.
All right, très bien, and bonne chance into the grand finals tomorrow.
Thanks a lot, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye. Well, we do get a French team into the finals, and it's the first time we actually have that. It's kind of unique as well here into the Elisa Invitational, but obviously, Finnish fans are going to be a bit disappointed that they are the Finn Slayers.
Yeah, I mean, but also, if you have something new, traditions also prevail, with SKADE making it to the finals, Bulgarians making it far in this tournament. So there you have it.
Kind of like national teams facing off against each other into the finals. How do you think about that in general? You know, like we have a full team on both sides sharing the same nationality, sharing the same language. Like they also said on HEET's side, they're just a bunch of friends as well in real life too. What do you think about all this?
That's a wide topic, man. I think we could be here for a while. Of course, upside for a team with the same nationality is the communication, culture, things like that. but maybe international team, you have much more choice in terms of players, and also maybe the culture in the sense that becomes more like work oriented instead of a group of friends just playing around with one another instead. So I guess there's pluses and minuses for both.
Robo, any thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, not too much to add on to that point.
Too many thoughts in your head.
Yeah, there's too much. Would be a podcast.
Sure. I mean, yeah, you guys are experienced in that kind of stuff. I'm not. So let's talk about Joko, the cool bet MVP out of this series for Heat. We've already repeated this a million times. The team has been united in force. Everybody's showing up on the server. But in this specific map, we're going to talk about Joko being probably one of the highlight players.
Yeah, again, as we've talked about Heat a lot. Just a very well-balanced team. A few key rounds, a few nice shots from Joko, but nothing too crazy. I think his Vertigo was even better. Kind of got lost here. His run boost was pretty sick. Put a lot of damage into the ENCE players. It's a really solid player, him too. And the headshots, they're crisp too. I think his headshot percentage is pretty high.
Will be fun to watch what's gonna crack down tomorrow in the grand finals for Heat. And if they can keep up their good form, honestly, I feel like the team that grows the most during the tournament earns their place into the grand finals. You start with a couple losses, you go into victories, but in this case, we don't have any of those Swiss teams. The regionals are out, the main Swiss teams are out. They all got dropped out in the quarterfinals by all the invitees. So the story's going to be a bit shorter for some of them, but we still got the best teams into the finals. 2-0 SKADE in Copenhagen Flames and 2-0 Heat against ENCE. And tomorrow at 12 CET is where we crack down a best of 3, very early grand finals as well. We're kind of used to having those night show games, but I'm super happy we have a finals on its day and just one series on that too. So we got our full focus on that, and also the viewers.
Should be a fun one. Are Bubble and Dreamer gonna be the back-to-back Elisa Invitational champs, or the new addition, the French squad, able to take down the Bulgarians? Exciting.
Well, that being said, that's pretty much our day in the bag. 2 2-0s and only the grand finals remaining. $100,000, which needs to be divided by these two teams. Well, not just these two teams, obviously. The winner takes half of that for themselves. We discussed about that too as well. So spicy stuff coming out of this one. I do want to thank you two, gentlemen, for this past week. We have one more day to go, one more exciting CS series to go, Robo and Nuts. So thank you so much for being here during the course of this week. And I'm waiting to hear what you guys have to say tomorrow.
Yeah, let's save that for tomorrow. Thanks to you, Panda.
Thank you. And to all of you viewers, and obviously our awesome production team working right behind that camera as well. Well, not literally that camera, but still with us in force, with all the sponsors helping us out with this great tournament. One day, one series, one more to go, and the Elisa Invitational Winter 2021 will come to a close. Who's going to take a victory this time? Is SKADE going to be repeating it, or is Heat going to take their first one in the course or in the history of their organization, and also in the Elisa Invitationals? We'll find that out tomorrow. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye, and see you then.